Hello and welcome to the AOSC10 pre-race show for round number 2. Of course, Matt Kavanagh joining you alongside the boys are back, mate. It's Daniel Leet and Matthew Norris. Welcome back, guys. Another week in the box.
Yeah, good evening, mate. Great to be back and really looking forward to seeing, obviously, we saw a fantastic round for round 1 and cannot wait to see what we're in for round 2.
Absolutely. Round 2 at Road America should really spice things up. Interlagos was a breeze. It was excellent to see all the cars on circuit again for round 1.
Yeah, no, I'm excited after round 1. There's some exciting things to talk about in the show today. We've got a couple of new features to put in, and we're going to keep that going as we go through the show. I need to shout out, obviously, to our sponsors, Jinx Shifters, of course, Sydney Computers, AJ Insurance Services, Simrigs.com, Track Cams for Gourmet, 6th Gear Imagery, and Race Circuit Art Australia. And, of course, if you haven't already, log on to the AOSC TV on YouTube and make sure you subscribe to that one. Don't forget, coverage starts Friday night at 9:10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's 9:10 p.m. on Friday night, the 22nd of January, for round 2, where we're going to get things underway with a 300-kilometre race, this time from Road America. But let's get back to last week's round, guys. As we look at the results here from round number 1, you can see it's James Scott took out the win once again there, of course. Superb effort from him. Right behind, though, Corey Shepherd. He put it all the way to him to the end and put the pressure on. Then it goes back to Ryan Wood, Tom Freer, Kyle Stokes, Brenton Hobson, Adam Briggs, Bailey Frid, Brian Borg, and Jordan Ross rounds out the top 10, guys. Norrie, it was an interesting race. James Scott and Corey Shepherd, so close across that finish line.
Absolutely. That top 3, they were just running together, and it was awesome to see. My pick of the round, I would say, was Ryan Wood on debut in AOSC, and to come out P3, that is a phenomenal effort, and he's really going to be punching at the front end of this field.
Yeah, Dan, it was very interesting, wasn't it? There, it all came down to some pit stop strategies and things like that. Had a big factor in how the result went down, but it was the top 3 that stood out. The close finish across the end, and Ryan Wood, like you say, an impressive first outing in the AOSC 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we watched through the whole thing, we were really surprised at just how much of a gap our top 3 were able to extend over the course of that. As Norrie was saying there, the pit stops strategy really come into play as well. And, we were a little bit worried with James Scott, the way he went out, came in a little bit later than these guys. The pit stop was about a second quicker, and we were questioning that to whether he was maybe going to have enough in there for the fuel to get that home or not. But, came out with a massive lead, and then to see how it unfolded at the end of the race, I mean, those 3 really in for a shot of it. And I think, as Norris rightly put, Ryan Wood, absolute standout on debut, and really showing what he's got potentially to unlock over the course of this championship. And we might see him up there for a few more podiums still yet to come.
Yeah, and we will talk about it very shortly, but of course, a lot of Premier Racing and Synergy Sim Racing guys in the top 10 as well. So we'll go through that in just a second. But what it does bring us to is a new segment in our show, which is the Sydney Computers photo finish of the round. And this week, of course, we could not go past 1 and 2, which is James Scott and Corey Shepherd, 0.041. So that's 41 thousandths of a second between those front splitters going across the line. It was all defensive from James Scott right down to that finish line, guys. Check out the photo. How good is this from 6th Gear Imagery? They've supplied this for us. That's how close it was after 34 laps.
It's almost like Lightning McQueen just getting the tongue over the line. James has just got the snout just over there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that really was set up, we were just saying before with that pit stop, but the run that Corey was able to get through that final corner really put him in a fantastic opportunity, and only just missed out by the smallest of margins there on the win.
Yeah, I think a couple of chances there he could have taken the risk possibly. I don't think he wanted to come unstuck. We were talking about James Scott likes to turn in a little bit early. Maybe that just took him off his race line a little bit, but mate, I'll give it to the guys. It was exciting racing, and Ryan Wood just sitting back waiting. Just one moment if they ran wide on one corner and he would have been at number 1. So what a way to kick off round number 1. A couple of other battles further down. Hobson and Briggs was a good battle to watch as well throughout the race. So I think we're going to see plenty more of that as the races continue. And I can't wait to see what really the series number 10 brings us. Of course, this was race number 179 in the AOSC history. So race 180 next week. It just goes to show a lot of these rounds coming together. Surprisingly, though, we've only been to this track a few times.
Absolutely. I mean, much in there, and not a lot of data for these guys to look at to get the most out of the cars, not really knowing how everyone's going to sort of stack up, and to see what they were able to come away with, how close the racing was outside of that top three throughout the remainder of the field. Take nothing away from that top three. I mean, they were lightning quick the whole way through it, but the rest of the field very close together, and some standout battles the whole way through also.
Well, let's have a quick look at some of the post-race race control decisions and license points. You see them come up there. A couple of drive-through penalties, some readdresses, and a couple of net codes in there. So nothing too much to talk about in there, guys. I don't think we're going to see too much going on. One thing, though, is I do notice that Andrew Dyson already has a couple of penalties there. So that could maybe impact a little bit later on in the season, because we know he's probably a bit of a contender to be in that top 10 after 16 rounds.
Any one of those three drivers that already has 10 license points, they really want to clean up their driving for Road America. Really watch it, because, like you say, Matty, they're going to pick up points through the season.
And when we talk about points and race incidents, let's talk about the AJ Insurance Services impact of the round. And, of course, this week, you can see it up there, all thanks to our guys from 6 Gear Imagery. Rob Harris was outside of 3 wide, a bit of wheel contact before flipping. Check out this thing on 2 wheels, mate, the big Jinx Shifters logo on the side, and the Holden Commodore was up in the air.
Yeah, it was really tough landing too. He was able to get that car back underway, but typical spot. A lot of incidents through that part of the track, and it was only, I think, lap 2 when that unfolded. So everyone's still tightly compressed as they work their way through, trying to find that little bit of space. And unfortunate for Rob there, massive impact with the wall. Was able to get that car back out, came in, took the fast repair, got back underway. Really not the night he would have liked to have had. And, for anyone who enjoys watching the stuff that Rob has put out, also jump onto his Twitch stream, because some great bird's eye view of everything that went on from it.
Yeah, that was an exciting Twitch stream, wasn't it, Norrie?
It was exciting. I was just going to say Rob's incredibly unlucky and running the number 13. That's bound to happen.
You think you'll change numbers for next week, maybe?
You sure? If you don't want to end up on your roof, you do.
Yeah. So there are a couple of segments we're going to keep bringing to you throughout the AOSC pre-race shows. Of course, we're going to keep them coming, all thanks to our great sponsors out there. Let's check out, of course, though, the Split 2 Round 1 results. Of course, this is the guys that didn't make it into the main game but came into the second race. As we go through those, you can see Rick Sibra coming out in number 1 here, Brent Nitschke in second, Chris Barnes in third, Wade Sheedy in fourth, Aaron Gilbert in fifth. Then we go back to Marty Hansen, Henry Thompson-Kircher, Josh Morris, Jaden Borg, and Joseph Daly ran out of top 10 in this one, guys. What do you think? A couple of names in there to watch out for too.
I'm going to really pull out 2 of them. I'm going to pull out Jet Johnson out of P11 on debut in AOSC. Fantastic effort to be up there. And Josh Morris, he really didn't deserve to be in Split 2, so he's gonna rustle some feathers next time he gets into Split 1.
Absolutely. And I mean, even though it is a slightly smaller field from what we've seen, another very close way to finish out this, for the lead battle of Split 2. Sabra and Nishki, 0.12 second between them, absolutely nothing in it. Barnes a little bit further behind, similar to what we saw from that first race, but down throughout the field, some awesome battles. Like you were saying, no, Josh Morris in there, Jaden Borg, Joseph Delaney, only a second or 3 seconds, covering those 3 cars as they concluded the end of the race just for that top 10 position. So even though they may not have made the main gate, may not have made the top race, put on a hell of a show nonetheless.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great watching, and good to see a couple of new names in there. One I do notice being a fellow Territorian is obviously Shane Ewens from the Darwin Sim Racing Amateurs. And is this the first time we've seen a Darwin racer in there, boys?
Probably.
Yeah, I think it might be. Having a look at some of the history. So it's good to see we're expanding our wings, get a lot more sim racers on board for this season 10. But yeah, fantastic there. Don't forget, of course, our great sponsors of the series, Jinx Shifters. They've got a great competition at the moment, guys. They've given us these fantastic black Jinx shirts that you can get from their website, of course, jinxshifters.com. But they're also giving away some white shirts now. So they've got some limited edition gear up for 2021 with the new white shirts they're giving away to one lucky racer, of course. So share a picture in the comment section or post or hashtag Jinx Shifters on Instagram with you wearing your Jinx Shifter merchandise. We might get into that, I reckon, or your sim setup. So, of course, you can go to Jinx Shifters on Facebook, check them out. They've got a post there. You just go in the comment section or get on your Instagram, hashtag Jinx Shifters. Show us your sim setup, or you wearing your T-shirt. Maybe you got stickers up everywhere around your place. They're great products, Australian made and manufactured. So please check that out at jinxshifters.com or on their Facebook page, which also leads us into another great sponsor of the show, guys. And the third segment we're going to bring you in this pre-race show, which is the simrigs.com. Show us your rig. So we want to see all the sim rigs that you've got out there. We know on our Discord channel that we do have a section set up, and we've actually had someone send theirs in. If you're part of the series, you want to get involved, either send us a video on the Discord or photos of your rig and let us know what exactly how your setup is. Or you can just get us through the Facebook page, message them through, because we want to go through what everyone's sort of running out there. And this week it was Matt Farah, who's actually one of our race officials, who sent something in.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Farah has sent in his rig, and it's a fantastic looking rig. Although it's usually just using for issuing penalties, but he's got himself some good stuff. There's a Track Racer TR8 with triple monitor mount, 3 ViewSonic VX3276 2Ks. They're pretty good. And Fanatec V3s with the brake performance kit, so that helps for stopping things. Fanatec CSW V2.5 with the McLaren GT3 V2 rim, and the Fanatec limited edition shifter. So Matt Farrow's got some awesome stuff there, even though he's just usually giving out penalties.
Yeah. Well, you got to make sure you can practice with the boys, because I think he's actually involved in a couple of other series as well. So I reckon he'd do a few laps in that setup, and it's a pretty good little setup for a home setup, really. I mean, I really love the guys that have some very unique setups, the guys that go and bolt it to the kitchen table and put the monitor on there for the racing and things like that. We've got everything, don't we? We've got guys with these impressive rigs, all set up, room specially designed, air conditioned, climate controlled, all that stuff. And then you've just got that pure enthusiast who doesn't have the room, it just bolts it to whatever he can, the desk, all that sort of stuff. We want to show everything really in this segment, all thanks to simrigs.com. So send them in, whether you're on the Discord or on the Facebook channel. Just message them in, and we'll go through them as the shows go on. But, mate, I'm excited to talk about round number 2, guys. It's coming up next, and we're going to Road America. So let's have a look at this one. So, Road America, here we go. Let's have a look at this one. It looks like we've got 14 corners to negotiate in this one. It's a 6.51 kilometre track. 300 kilometres is going to be the sprint round here. Guys, what are we thinking?
It's a fantastic circuit. I mean, I've been fond of Road America since early IndyCar days, and it's very challenging. It has changed a lot over the years, but still delivers absolutely standout racing. As you're saying, Matt, 14 turns, 6.5 kilometres, so about double the length of what we saw last week out at Brazil. The car's going to be relatively quick around there. We're expecting lap times around the 207.56 range, comparative to the last time we were there, and it has been a while since we've been here. In the old car, we were doing around the 2-minute 10 range. So past winners that we've seen out there, we've had Luke Harvey take the win in season 1, Luke Harvey and Ian Ford season 2, and we had quite a hiatus from it. We came back season 7 where Jared Filsell took the win as well. So a little bit of heritage there for the guys that can get up there and take the win. We are expecting, as we touched on last time out, some big areas where the guys can not only make some opportunities, we're expecting some high risk and high reward scenarios. So off from the start of the race, obviously a little bit of a downhill for the guys at the back of the field to have to contend with. So trying not to get that car rolling is going to be key. Avoid the jump start, the run down through into turn 1. We're expecting some 2 to 3 wide action for all the cars coming down into that one. It's very wide, very fast. A little touch of the brake to settle the nose, pitch it through, and see how you come through on the other end, and expect a lot of dirt to fly as the guys work their way through that. Down in towards turn 3, if you can get that right, either from the run out of turn 1 down into turn 3, either have an opportunity to reset the crisscross move, or you can set yourself up for a fantastic run down the very long straight down into turn 5, which is a massively tight 90-degree corner, braking at a premium, 2 wide action as the guys work down their way through there. Get out of 5, you head up the little hill in towards turn 6. It's a blind entry, and really grip limited as you throw the car in there. It's a very flat surface. The cars are going to want to skate sideways as you work your way through that. So expect to see potential for a few issues, especially if you get someone trying to stick the nose down the inside. It's going to be very tricky to work your way through there. Get that right, head on down through the hurry downs. Turn 7 and 8. Cars are going to be, again, very, very twitchy as the guys work their way through, getting the power down, getting through the gears, absolute premium to not only get the lap time, but work your way through, try and set up either a move or defend those positions. From there into the carousel, probably one of the most famous corners in motor racing, very long turn, turns 9 and 10, creates a huge amount of load on that left-hand side of the car. And for a circuit that is relatively high degradation on the tyres, later on in the race, especially with this one being the 300-kilometre event, it's going to be really tricky to see how the left front of the car holds up and what the guys have put into it to try and get some of the setup work sorted. From there, turn 11, we'll head down into the kink. Massively quick in these cars. Don't have a lot of grip to play with. We have seen some too-wide action. 9 out of 10 times it results in a car being pitched into the fence. And if you don't make the fence, you're going to find the grass, and there's no real way of coming back from that other than to lose a fistful of positions as everyone works their way down in towards Canada Corner. Canada Corner, again, 90 degrees on entry. Good opportunity for a pass. If you can get your run through the kink quite nice, you can set up for a really nice run. Draft massive down through there. Get the brakes done down on the inside. You've got to watch out on the outside, though. You will find there is a lot of sand that we're expecting to be kicked up over the course of the run here as everyone floats it out wide out past the track limit, comes back across to set themselves up for 13, which is a quick kink through the left-hand side. A little bit of a rise as you come through, and the car's going to want to step out a bit on that right-hand side as you work your way through. But you've got to be quick to catch it so you can set yourself up down for turn 14, which is going to be at the bottom of the hill. You'll see the hill off to the top there. Come in through 14, get the nose in, get the power on as early as possible and set up again for a nice long run down to turn 1. Slipstream is going to be huge. The run up through the hill, really important there, but you also got to keep an eye for the guys that are then going to want to try and get to the lane to complete the pit stops that we're going to expect to see there. So it's a big entrance for those guys to work their way through, and a little bit of strategy that's definitely going to come into play for all of these guys.
Well, Norrie, you heard it there from Dan. I mean, there's going to be a lot of tyre wear going on really around that carousel. We've got 300 kilometres to deal with. How do you think the guys are going to make it home? What's going to be the strategy?
Well, that's the thing, and Dan mentioned it perfectly. The pit entry for this one is key because it is off the driver's right. You climb to the top of a hill and you've got to really stop. A bit like Interlagos, you've got that pit on at the top of the hill. So it's really tricky to get in there and it's really annoying to get offline. But it's a 300k format, so pit strategy is going to be a bit different. A couple of different stops to make. We're estimating about 16 laps to a tank, and it's a long lap. So any mistake in the pit lane is going to cost you detrimentally out on circuit. Pit strategy for me, go long, empty the tank, go long, empty the tank. Do that a couple of times, you'll make it home.
Well, let's see how James Scott goes this week, guys. I mean, who are your predicted winners, Dan? I mean, who do you think is going to be up the front there? I mean, we saw James. I don't think he's going to get his pit stop wrong this week. After last week, he's going to be all over it.
Yeah, look, I think James is a hard one not to pick as a fan favourite to probably get the win. Definitely a few guys a little further down, and we saw some of them starting to come through. I think Michael Teliancic, a very good driver to have a look at and maybe see how he goes. If he can nail the qualifying, we know from the last few seasons, just how good he is on the fuel conservation. So he could definitely find his way into playing contention. I still think Corey Shepherd, Brian Borg are two other good drivers to keep an eye out. Also, the Synergy cars, they're always going to be up towards that pointy end as well.
And Norrie, how much do you think the drafting is going to come? The team will play an effect here. I mean, James Scott's a solo man. He's a lone cowboy out there, really. Can the Synergy guys and the Premier Racing Team boys, can they use each other to draft and take a bit of an advantage out of this one?
Well, that's a massive advantage the teams do have. Premier and Synergy running multiple cars versus James in the single lone Altus car. It's a massive advantage for those team cars. I was having a chat with Tom Frere post-race last week, and he was saying tyre wear was fantastic in those Synergy cars. So hopefully if they can keep this tyre wear under control and not burn out their tyres this week, they'll be up there. And if they can draft with each other, that's something they can put in front of James Scott that he can't put in front of them.
Well, I think it's going to be another big one. Round number 2 coming your way from Road America, guys. It is all happening Friday night, of course, 9:10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to go to AOSC TV on YouTube. And, of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. 9:10 p.m. Friday night, the 22nd of January is round number 2. It's race 180 in the history here of AOSC. Guys, I'm pumped. How about you guys?
Cannot wait. I am absolutely looking forward to seeing this and the first of our 300k events for the season. What more could you want?
Absolutely. Dan rightly points out they were fantastic to see last season. This season's going to be no different. We've mentioned the team aspect and we've mentioned the track itself. So it's going to be fantastic to see. Let's hope it's a bloody good one.
Let's see how round 2 plays out. We'll get that photo finished. Let's find out who's going to take it out then. We'll see you. Of course, don't forget, it is 9:10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. See you all for the race.
Then watching this fantastic race from Road America tonight, and joining me in the commentary box, of course, is Matthew Norris and Daniel Lee. Guys, it's good to be back for round number 2.
Excellent to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to this one as we saw in the pre-race, cracking circuit and some a massive field out there for everyone having a run tonight as well.
Well, we've already been looking at some of the pre-qualifying, I suppose, the early qualifying results there. It looks like we're going to put everyone into the field, and we've got something like 60 cars in this one tonight, guys. So it could be a big turn into turn number 1 there with a lot of cars banking up in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. With that many cars on circuit, it's going to be difficult to find a clear spot of real estate and find where you can really slot your car in for an optimal lap time. But James Scott currently sitting at the top of the tree. He's doing a pretty superb job of that one.
He's already up there. We saw him just before, and it was Andrew Gilliam who was actually sitting up number 1 for a few laps there. And we knew James Scott was going to fire back with this one in the Logitech AOSC ZB Commodore, of course. And just like he started off the season there, he just got that win in round number 1. He is back up the top here in this qualifying session. And this will be the qualifying session going into the race tonight, of course. 52 laps coming your way here from Road America. 6.5 kilometres, 14 turns. We've got some big right-handers, and that's what we spoke about in the pre-show, wasn't it? The tyre wear that's going to probably come up on the left-hand side of the vehicle, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as we have a look at Gilliam working his way through at the moment, there's a lot of work down the left-hand side of this car to get you around the lap. Obviously, you spent a lot of time through the kink on that side down here into Canada Corner. So watch you break that car down. A lot of tyre wear being used up there. So something that the guys are going to have to consider, obviously, the 300k format we're doing tonight, definitely going to play on their minds as where they want to use those pit stop strategies. And after what we saw last week for the likes of James Scott and Corey Shepherd, this one promises to be a very good run, and we might even see another photo finish like we saw last week.
So big shout out to our sponsors here. Back for us, of course, Jinx Shifters sponsoring their AOSC10. Season 10 it is, and we've had a bit of an update there. We've gone through all the data because we've been talking about the amount of races AOSC has done. It's actually race 176 this week in the history. So 176, Series 10, round number 2 here at Road America. Big shout out to Jinx Shifters also, because don't forget, if you go to their Facebook page, they've currently got a bit of a promo going on to win yourself one of the white Jinx Shifters shirts. So you just need to put yourself, go to the comments on that. You can find it on their Facebook page and put a photo of you with some of their products, whether it be their shifters, could be their brake bias, or just a t-shirt or sticker, or you can go to Instagram and hashtag Jinx Shifters. So big shout out to those guys tonight, of course. Fantastic supporters of the AOSC. As we can see, Corey Shepherd, another one to watch out for. He's already in 4th position there. He's got a 2:05.40, so he's 39 hundredths of a second behind James Scott in position number 1, Norrie.
Absolutely. Corey Shepherd keeping it close for watching eye. You've also got Freer and Gillingham right there as well. And Andrew Dyson and Jordan Ross also stepping up. So a few Synergy, a few Premier, and a Pursuit car in that top 6.
It'll be interesting to see when we start to see the boys. Maybe they got 12, or we're 12 minutes into qualifying at the moment, so they might need to start doing some drafting out there. There's a few guys in their team a little bit further down the pack, and we'll see what that does. Of course, 52 laps, still a long race to get around, and plenty of time for them to take advantage of any, I suppose, tyre wear that they can save, or maybe fuel. Norrie, you spoke about it a bit in the pre-show, and your predictions was 2 full tanks and then go all the way to the end. You still stick with that?
Absolutely. In qualifying, it'll be a little bit different because they'll want to be minimising as much fuel as they can in the car and getting new tyres on when they can. But yeah, for the race, totally just fill it up, send it each time.
Touch on actually in the pre-race, I thought about it later, was that we didn't even talk about a possibility of safety cars, so that could change a couple of things as well. As just hearing there that Corey Shepard has gone P3 now to a 205.14, and we thought we were going to see maybe a 206, but we're 205 straight up, guys. And looking at the times, we had 205s all the way down to position number 9 at the moment in qualifying.
Yeah, we're actually not that far off breaking into the 204s at this point as well. So, I mean, from the pre-qualifying session we saw just prior to this server going up, I think the quickest we saw out there, or at least in the one I was having a watch over, was a 205.19. So they've definitely gained a little bit more. And as we see, obviously, the fuel, like Norrie was saying, coming out of these cars, just getting quicker and quicker. And I think you touched on a good point there too, Matt, with the opportunity potentially for the safety car. I mean, we kind of half spoke of it, I guess, a little bit during the track walk that we did around the Road America circuit, especially down into turn 1. Going to be very tricky for these guys. And we weren't thinking we were going to have as big a field as we got. But that in itself is potential that we could see that safety car come out at the very opening lap there.
Also need to shout out to all the rest of our sponsors as well on board for the AOSC season number 10. Of course, AJ Insurance Services. And don't forget 10% off for AOSC members if you give them a ring. Of course, your business and personal insurance brokers for your home, contents and car insurance as well. It's AJ Insurance Services. And we did have the AJ Insurance Services impact of the round. We will be doing that again in the next pre-race show. So any big hits up, we'll be going through to see where the highest incident points are. Also, a big shout out to simrigs.com. Don't forget, you can, certain products there, if you go and speak to them, we'll get you free entry into the AOSC series as well. So go and see them, guys. And a big shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets, who have got on board this season with us. And we've got some brilliant shots coming your way. Of course, Nick Hausler in the background doing a fantastic job in production. And it's just good to see those slightly different angles that he brings to the party now, I suppose, during this broadcast.
Definitely. It adds another little bit of a flavour, and obviously we'll see it from a few different angles here as we watch these guys work their way down into turn 5 at the moment. It's interesting to see from those different shots, and I mean, we've already seen how good these cameras look in a few other championships going on as well, and absolutely fantastic to have them on board to help us out for this one.
Just as we were talking there, James Scott has gone a little bit faster. He's dropping those 204s that we expected to, a 204.92. You can see him up the top of the charts there. Gilliam still behind there, has not improved in that 205.09. And it's Corey Shepard, Tom Freer in 4th, and 5 is Andrew Dyson, who was good to see him. We were talking about he got a couple of incident points in the last race when we looked at some of the decisions. So probably not the start he wanted to the season, but he's out there in 5th position at the moment. The number 41 car is on a 205.44 on the last lap, which was his best so far. Also a bit of a shout out to Sydney Computers. Don't forget, also free entry up into the AOSC series for, obviously, you buy some of their computer gear, check it out, certain products they've got getting out there. Great if you want to get into gaming. They've got some pre-made computers as well. You don't have to get a custom one. You can just get one off the shelf. Also Race Circuit Art, obviously, for the trophies for the AOSC overall finishes. And 6th Gear Imagery, who provide all our digital imagery, which we did actually use for some of our segments last week.
Well, and most notably too, then got that fantastic shot for Rob Harris for the Impacts Award, and seeing that car up on the 2 wheels was a great job they got on that one.
A photo finish, I mean, if we can get another one of those tonight, that is going to be very exciting. Corey Shepard's currently sitting in 3rd, James Scott in 1, but the person between him at the moment is Andrew Gilliam. And Norrie, we're not going to see Ryan Wood back this week. Unfortunately, commitments have meant he can't race this week.
Yeah, unfortunately, real life gets in the way of AOSC, unfortunately, sometimes. But Ryan's hopefully will be back for some of the other rounds. But it doesn't look like we're going to be disadvantaged by that absence tonight, because it definitely looks like it's hot at the top end of the timesheets.
know is Gilliam and Shepherd out on screen at the moment.
Going
They're not
off
going to get
road.
too many more laps. Gilliam just goes off, so that's going to hurt him on this lap. Having a look, it is Corey Shepherd who's actually set the fastest sector 5 at the moment there, so he's on a bit of a run as well, just trying to get the Premier Racing Team car onto that front row. He's got a bit of an effort there to go at 2:04. He's only a couple of tenths behind Scott, so a couple of tenths in the top 3 at the moment, as we see Shepherd up on screen at the moment, the Mr. Antenna Ford Mustang.
Yeah, we're able just to leverage a little bit of that draft off the preceding cars just to help him out a fraction there, and hopefully he's able to slot in a quite handy time. We did see too, just quickly, at the start of this lap, James Scott just going out and starting his flying lap, actually having to abort too, just a little bit of interference from a car down into turn 1, but he has managed to get back out for one final tilt to see whether he can lower that current pole position time just fractionally more.
That's Jordan Ross just in front of him actually in the Synergy Sim Racing car. And be interesting to see, he's got into the top 10, 7th position at the moment. So seeing Corey in his rear vision mirror, he might be pushing a little bit harder there. And we see Dylan Rudd's just done a bit of a reset there. He's currently sitting in 8th. 9th is Kyle Stokes, and Michael Taliancic rounds out the top 10 there. I think I got that name right this week, boys. You've been learning me well.
Absolutely, and why were we through with that? Because we know for quite a fair time, a lot of people have made a bit of a meal of that one, and yeah, Michael doing a great job. Bailey Frid up here at the moment, setting a pretty good time PB in Sector 2 there, a little bit off the pace for this part of the lap. We'll see whether he's able to continue on for one more crack around the circuit as well.
So Scott is actually back out on track at the moment. I don't think maybe he's not content with the 2:04.92. He's going to get one more run in. We are 19 minutes into qualifying, so only a few moments left. So I'll get to complete a couple of laps. Looks like everyone is getting around now past the start-finish line. So everyone out on track at the moment to get one flying lap. Is a bit of a reset here for Dyson. I don't think he's going to get to another one in there. Andrew Gilliam still stays at number 2, as it looks like we are coming to an end for qualifying as people reset. James Scott's going to start there in number 1, as you see him up on screen. I don't think anyone's going to get past him, judging by the sector times that we see on the timing screen. Plenty of greens, PBs for people, but not seeing any purple showing up. It was a little bit sideways there for Scott. Car getting a little bit of oversteer as he goes around there.
Yeah, just
Right.
dancing it through that turn 1 complex, and really on the knife edge for what he can do down this run. He's going to get maybe that little bit of lap down traffic going to interfere. That's Rick Sebra just ahead, the Frog Lit Racing car. Don't know whether that'll impact him here, but potentially as they work their way down through the hurry downs and maybe into the carousel.
It'll be interesting to see, like we say in qualifying, if you go too far over Rebel Strip or you make contact with a wall or anything like that, it does invalid your qualifying lap. So looking at the names, it looks like everyone we probably expect in the top 20 have showed up. As I think we are going to come to an end in our qualifying session. Just a second, see the checkered flags out as we bring back up Gilliam, just completing his final lap there. He gets a fastest Sector 5 time, and no, Corey Shepherd's gone past him. Gilliam goes number 1, a 2:04.88. Gets James Scott in the final moments. Scott has passed the start-finish line too, so he is not going to improve on his time by the looks of it. So Andrew Gilliam will now go into our number 1 as James Scott does a bit of a reset on the back straight there. You can just see him go off our screen on our timing screen. So Andrew Gilliam, that's the big one there. He's come out of nowhere, guys. I mean, I'm new to the series, but he is very, very racy tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, Gilliam has been thereabouts over the last couple of seasons, and just finding that little bit of pace that he needs to get ahead. Obviously, as we were saying before, in one of the 2 splits for the pre-qualifying, did the table there as well. So definitely got a car very well set up for this circuit, and to just pip Scott by that 10th of a second, that's a hell of an effort.
44 thousandths of a second was all the difference that is in qualifying at the moment. A couple of cars still just finishing. Tom Freer's out there on track. I don't know if we're going to see him move from P5, but Andrew Gilliam will be number 1 in qualifying at the moment. James Scott will be alongside on the front grid. Corey Shepherd's in row number 2 there behind Gilliam, alongside Andrew Dyson. Then we go to Tom Freer at the moment in 5th, alongside Jordan Ross, who made it into 6th position. So looking there in the top 3 rows, obviously we've got the Shoot Sim Racing of Andrew Gilliam up the front. The Premier Racing boys are 3rd, and Synergy have got a couple of cars there on the 3rd row. It's going to be Tom Freer and Jordan Ross alongside each other. Norrie, do you think that might help them get through the pack if they're alongside each other?
Depends on who gets the jump. If it's Jordan Ross, it'll sort of be holding stations for the first couple of laps. If it's Tom Frere, there's no telling what he could do. There was pace in that car towards the back end of last week's race at Interlagos. So interesting to see how Synergy deals with two cars at the front of the field.
It's going to be interesting at turn number 1, Dan, if James Scott takes that risk to do the dive. I mean, he's got 52 laps. He doesn't need to do it early. He can just sit back and make sure he gets those pit stops right this week. That was the biggest thing last week. He made an error in the pit stop, and although he came out right out in front, he had to conserve a lot of fuel there in the back half of the race, which hurt him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was only a slight calculation. It was a second of fuel going into that car that ultimately cost him the 3.5 second lead that he built going through that pit stop cycle. And ultimately, it got down to 0.04 of a second as the two cars crossed the line. So nothing separating them towards the back end. So he's going to be really cautious not to have that same mistake. I think we'll expect to see, if he can't get the jump early on, just to sit in, conserve a little bit of that fuel, like you're saying, and maybe try and extend what little bit of range he's able to do in that first stint.
Well, the round 2 race at Road America about to get underway here. All thanks to our sponsors, of course, Jinx Shifters, Race Circuit Art Australia, 6th Gear Imagery, Sydney Computers, AJ Insurance Services, simrigs.com and track cams for gourmets. There you go. It is James Scott and Andrew Gillian on the front row. Andrew Gillian will be our number 1. James Scott number 2. Corey Shepherd on the second row and 3rd. Andrew Dyson 4. Tom Frere 5. Jordan Ross 6. 7 will be Brian Borg. 8 Dylan Rudd. Then it's 9 to Michael Taliancic, Reese Keane in 10, 11 will be Kyle Stokes alongside Rob Bowden in 12, then it's 13 for Bailey Fred, Neil Pearson alongside Christian Smart in 15, Cameron Veacock in the 16, Bradley Vaughan comes up 17th, Stephen Varga in 18th, 19th is Jamie Stolvoid, Blake Warboys in 20, then it's Jacob Knight in 21, Rob Harris in 22, surprising to see the number 13 down there, Greg Sharp in 23 and Sean Thompson in 24, 25 is Troy Maguire, then it's Sebastian Flock in 26, 27 David Kinmond alongside Logan Barnett in 28, 29 is Hayden Harrison, Daniel Heathershield in 30th. Then it's Darren McKenzie in 31, Matty Mascord in 32, had some great battles last week, Aaron Gilbert in 33, Glenn Morris in 34, 35 is Luke Holland, 36 Sabira there as we're going to get through these really quickly. Jamie Dyke in 37, Jaden Borg in 38, Tyson McEvoy in 39, then it's Simon Heathershield in 40, then it's 41 to Trent McCarthy, 42 is Brenton Nitschke, Wade Sheedy in 43, Chris Barnes in 44, 45 is Matthew Brunt, 46 Marty Hanson, 47 Lance Childs and Tony Gaffer in 48. Big lot of cars tonight. Lance Childs, 47, 48. There we go. 49, Mark Dynell. Braden O'Loughlin in 50. Surprised to see him down there. Craig Healy in 51. McSpeeden in 52. Then it's Travis Lewis in 53. Jamie Kingscott in 54. Craig Gurry, is it, in 55. Shane Ewens in 56. Jamie Davis in 57. And Scott Chambers in 58. Is that going to be, I think we've got 58 cars in this one tonight, boys. We're not going to make that 60. So, big weekend. A lot of people busy. A couple of people, big names there that haven't made it out as we're about to get underway with the race here. Andrew Gillian is starting off the front. James Scott, surprisingly, to see him there in second. We thought he was going to be there the first into the 204s as the start is underway. Look at this passing already happening. A bit further down as they're going around. They're going to come in really wide. I don't think the first 5 positions are going to matter, fellas. I think it's going to be positions 4 and 5 backwards as they all bunch up going into turn number 1. Check this out. Great scenes here as they come up over the hill now.
Yeah, hell of a jump from everyone getting away. A couple of positional changes down through the mid-pack as everyone sorts themselves out. But the top 5 getting away exceptionally well there and everyone doing an awesome job.
It's actually looking pretty clean, actually. We haven't seen too many off tracks in the background, and especially with so much grass off the side of the track, one wheel goes off, especially a rear wheel, and they're going to get really loose as they're still too wide now, as it looks like they are coming down into this, what is a bit of a sharp, is this turn number 5 as they go around?
Yeah, down into 5, really tight 90-degree corner there. Everyone getting through some too wide as the field filters their way through. Rob Harris is getting shuffled a little bit wide on the run up there, so he's going to try and look to get back into position as soon as possible. Out front, though, a small gap just starting to appear here for Gilliam. 2/10 clear on James Scott with very early days, and everyone just funneling their way through as they head into the carousel, for the first time.
So be just happy to be on 4 wheels this week. Can we do a livery? Are you able to put the livery under the car? Because Rob Harris could make something out of that.
Absolutely. We'll see. We can do it. I'd love to be able to do it. Just put a bit of signage under there. Might be a good sponsor plug. Absolutely.
Tell you what, the colour now, Andrew Gillian is looking pretty comfortable out in front. He's got a very tiny gap there, but there's a little bit of air between him because Corey Shepherd, I think he's trading paints literally with James Scott in front of him. There is nothing in that one as they come around here and they start to head down. Here we go. It looks like they just have a look where they're going through. We're going through turn number 13 now at the moment. It looks like through Thunder Valley there, so they're not too far off completing their first lap at the moment. Here we go, the first lap completed, and Andrew Gillian is going to hold on to that lead after lap 1. We're pretty much where we were in qualifying for the top 5, or top 6 actually at the moment. So Andrew Gillian 1, James Scott in 2, Corey Shepherd in 3, Andrew Dyson in 4, 5 is Tom Freer and Jordan Ross in 6. Brian Borg there in 7, he was actually in 7 in the start too. A couple of movements there as it looks like Michael Teliancic goes up into position number 8, so he's gained a position, just got over Dylan Rudd just in the last couple of corners there. And as we see them go through, it looks like Reece King will round out your top 10 at the moment. Up on screen though, that's Jordan Ross there in the 143 JK Signs Ford Mustang. And good to see him back here. Ended up 10th actually in round number 1, so he'll be hoping to improve on that finish there. As we only have completed 1 lap of 52 for this race. It's going to be very interesting. Double the distance this week. And next week we head into the co-drivers with a big 650k race. So they're just easing into the series at the moment. Just chasing down his teammate by the looks of him in front, the Synergy Sim Racing team, Tom Freer just in front there. With the gap closing slightly. I wonder whether Jordan's got a little bit more pace over him at the moment, or maybe just willing to put the car out there as Freer goes a little bit wider, turning into this carousel. This is the long one you spoke about, Dan, where it's going to put so much pressure, especially on that left-hand front. And we do have a couple of suspension shots as well from our track cams for Gourmets, which we'll look at a bit later.
Yeah, it's a good run for those guys as they work their way through up in that top 3, 2nd and 3rd. Keep an eye on them because that's the almost identical battle to what we saw last time out at Interlagos. Those two absolutely inseparable between Scott and Shepherd. This is a little bit nice there for Gilliam. He's going to get a little bit of a reprieve and able just to continue to start picking away at that little bit of a gap that he's got. Andrew Dyson had probably a bit of a round to forget for himself last week. Well up the order, currently in 4th position. Not really falling off the back here of Shepherd as they work their way up the hill for the 2nd time here. It's a massive climb that they've got to come up. You see the pit lane entrance just off to your right there. And for Dyson here, just looking like he's maybe losing just a little bit of top end and just losing that gap to Shepherd just marginally.
And Norrie, just looking around in the pit area and around the track, have we got anyone already that has decided to bring the cars in, or did everyone get a clean start on that race by the looks?
Yeah, mostly a clean start down this end. Nothing throughout the pit lane at the moment, but I'll keep my eyes peeled.
Well, good to have Norrie getting around, isn't it? Just making sure everything's going on in the background, keeping us up to date with what we don't see in the main cameras, I suppose, and making sure everything is happening in the back. As Andrew Gillian now turning into turn number 5 there as they get around again. Up on screen at the moment, Christian Smart there in the Synergy Sim Racing car. Of course, you can see the great JK signs on the side of all of those cars. Looks like he's going to put a move on here. Is he going to get over Bailey Frid there just in front? Looks like Frid goes a little bit wide, gives him a little bit of room, but he can't get the job done there for Christian Smart. And is he just going to pull back in behind and maybe have another go? Of course, going up against the Pursuit Sim Racing car of Bailey Frid just in front, then Bradley Vaughan in front of him in 13, Neil Pearson in 12, Rob Bowden in 11 there. So this is the little battle going on now between 10 and 15.
Yeah, as we ride on board here with Smart, he's going to have to be careful just in sticking the nose out like he did. He's going to open himself up to an opportunity here for Jamie Stovall just behind to have a look as well. So got to be a little bit cautious where you want to do. I think just sizing up the competition to see whether he's got enough pace to try and get down there at the moment at this early phase of the race. But just sitting in quite comfortably, and these guys just starting to stretch themselves up. Everyone pretty well top to tail in the grid at the moment. Not separated by much at all. Only about 4 or 5 tenths of a second covering all these cars as they still continue to work their way down. And it's probably one of the best starts we've seen in a long, long time. As some big movers already in this early couple of laps. Probably most notable, Jamie Davis up 13 spots from where he started. So good run for him, currently down in that 44th position.
Yeah, that is, isn't it? That's making up some big numbers. And as you spoke about it, if I'm looking up on our track map at the moment, it's telling me that everyone is on the main straight at the moment. So that's a big field to have all sort of in one area. There might be a couple more further down But you know, we're all still on the start lap, so we haven't had any big incidents. That's the biggest thing to talk about. We are a few laps in at the moment, and no big incidents to talk of. We haven't had the AJ Services impact of the round yet.
Jordan
As they get around. Sorry,
Jordan Ross has just got passed on Freya.
That's a big move there for Jordan Ross. So he goes up another position there into 5th position. Started out of 7th from memory. So he's moving up a bit as we check out the replay here, all thanks to Jinx Shifters. Here's the move done on his teammate. Gets him under brakes down the main straight. Tom Freya there sticks out wide. He knows, you can see the nose of him in there. Jordan Ross does it nicely, doesn't he? Gets right up alongside. Oh no, just drops the wheel off there. How scary was that for Tom Freya? That could have been detrimental.
Absolutely. And the last thing you want to do is take your teammate out. So fortunately for those two, they were able to manage to get those cars through. It doesn't look like Freya has lost any other position, just the change that we expected for his teammate there. So back underway, no issues for him. Ross, though, has fallen back a little bit following that little wiggle off the back of Dyson. So a bit of movement to do for him to close that gap down. It's down under 1.9 seconds at the moment. So we'll see what kind of pace he's got now that he's been released.
And another scary thought when we look down the track there, Tom Freya looks like Brian Borg's now closing that gap down as well for that little battle there, which looks like it is for 6th position. As we go back to the front, in 3rd position, there's Corey Shepherd, the Mr. Antenna Mustang. He's all over the back of James Scott at the moment, and Andrew Gillian still holding out that tiny gap there. It's 0.7 of a second just in front. It's there's not much in it at all. Sorry, 0.3 of a second in front. Oh, here we go. Look at Andrew Dyson though. He is just holding on there, and this is what we spoke about last week with Ryan Wood. Is Dyson's just sitting there. Any one of these guys makes a mistake, like if Gillian makes a mistake, Scott and Shepherd are going to be upset, and Dyson's probably the one that can take advantage of that as we go. A little bit defensive there for Andrew Gilliam into turn number 1. He just covers it off, makes sure James Scott can't break him down there. Do you think
smart little move there just to hold that one on as further down Greg Sharp getting in and amongst it. So we've got Rob Harris up on screen. Sharp's actually cleared these guys and made a move off. Blake Warboy's down the inside. That's a nice move down into 1 there. And Harris not giving up on that one. He's going to hold steady. There's a slow moving car on the inside, so guys are going to have to be cautious of that one. No one's going to want to rear end there. And just at the back of this little fight as well, we've got, I think that's Mascot involved in it as well. So absolutely nothing separating these guys. They work their way down into 5.
Just a few back from these guys. Logan Barnett was involved in a bit of a melee with these guys at Canada Corner last night by. That's why he's so far behind these guys.
Look at this. Rob Harris has put the nose in back over Blake Warboys, and he does actually get the position back from him just. And I tell you what, Matty Mascord is just waiting. Whoever gets someone wide, he's just trying to get that nose in. Check out the shots there on the rear suspension now of Rob Harris's car, who's taken that position 24 back over Blake Warboys. Matty Mascord just behind. You can see him. He's all over the back, but there is not much in it. Looks like Rob Harris is going to hold on to the position, though, as they start to head up into turns 8 by the looks of it as they come around. I think we're going to start on the carousel now for these boys. So they're on the carousel at the moment. Rob Harris now, the Jinx Shifters, number 13. Looks like he's opened up a little bit of a gap. Just a bit of a reprieve there as Blake Warboys backs off a fraction. Matty Mascord there right behind him. As we go back to a bit more battle, Logan Barnett now in the Frog Leap Racing team in the number 11 there. And he is under all sorts of trouble there in position 29 as they close the gap up. There is nothing in this one.
Absolutely. Darren McKenzie in for a good move down into Canada Corner. He's going to show the nose. He's just there. A bit of contact as well. So that's going to be a big one as we see the 037 off wide. That's Tyson McAvoy. So he drops a handful of places trying to avoid that one. No doubt Race Control will have a bit of a look to see how that one goes through. But McKenzie has managed to get that car now out in front and going to have to start scampering away now.
Let's have a look at the back of McAvoy because there was someone else in the background there also that went out on the grass. I'm just trying to pick up on a number there as you can see the number 2 there. Just holding on as it looks like another move there. Another move getting made. Shane Ewan's in pit exit there. Something going on, Norio. I don't know if you can check that out for us, but Shane Ewan's very slow. I don't know if he's just being cautious coming out of pit exit there in the background. It's not a good start for him though, but it is the number 2 car of Darren McKenzie here up on screen at the moment. Looks like he's going to get the job done now and move forward.
Yeah, we'll see whether he's able to go, or if he's got enough of a gap at the moment to hold down into 5. It looks like he should, 0.4 of a second as the guys work their way down. And it's interesting to see all the battles up and down throughout this field at the moment. The gap just closing down a fraction as they tip in, but Mackenzie's got good drive here. He should be able to easily maintain, and if not, actually just start extending just a fraction as they crest the hill and turn into that blind corner, ready for the hurry down. We'll see how the car looks as he works his way through here. And not too bad at all, just picks a little bit of grass up on the entry, but the car definitely not stepping out, so it's a very well set up car there for him.
Just sorry to put in, boys. It's Shane Ewens is just avoiding lap traffic as he's a lap down.
Well, that is good to hear, though. He's just doing the right thing and holding back there. I see Blake Warboy's also got the pass on Rob Harris there for position 24, as we were watching a bit earlier. So it's good to see that's what does. We head back to the leader at the moment, who's Andrew Gilliam in the Pursuit Sim Racing, number 44, just out in front of James Scott. Looks like James Scott now, there is a little bit of air, a little bit of space between him and Corey Shepherd now, and a little bit more of bitumen back to Andrew Dyson as well. So these guys just start to settle in now, make a little bit of a gap.
And this is about the time where we'll start to see the pressure really applied here from James Scott. He's already getting into Gilliam's mind. Gilliam going very wide, trying to break that draft down into turn 1, swings it back over onto the racing line. But Scott just hanging in there. He's going to really start applying a big slide from Gilliam through turn 1. So this could be the start of the end here. We might potentially see Gilliam drop a space in the near distant future.
What do you think they said at the moment with James Scott? Do you think if he's comfortable over Corey Shepherd, does he stay in the slipstream and conserve a little bit of fuel right now?
No, he's got to go for it. Once you start seeing that car in front losing the grip and getting a bit sideways, you're going to want to get clear of it. The last thing you need is for that driver to have a bit of an error. And we're not saying Gilliam's going to have that error, but if you do see that car rotate around, you don't want to be collected up inside it.
He's worried about getting defensive already, especially down that main straight. He's going to start losing. I know he's trying to break the slipstream, but he's going to start losing a little bit of time there too. And Scott's probably going to want to just get back onto the racing line and go hard, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dylan Rudd now is in position number 9 as we bring him up on screen, the 990 car, and he's coming up to Michael Taliancic, who is in position 8. So he's actually dropped one position there, gone back to 8. He was up in 7, I think, before I was reading. So interesting to see. Actually, no, I don't think he did make 7. I think he's only got to 8, actually, for Michael Taliancic. Made one position up there into 8 over Dylan Rudd, got the move done. Taliancic was a bit further down, so the Pursuit Sim Racing number 777 got the move done on Dylan Rudd as we see him out on track. I don't know if Rudd's going to get this one back, actually. You can see him there just looking for any sort of gap. So they start to head down the track here. Looks like they're going between 11 and 12 as they turn into turn 12 now around Canada Corner.
Yeah, we're already starting to see a little bit of dirt getting picked up there, and that was something we thought potentially we're going to see later on in that race. So these guys using all the track and then some to try and keep those cars behind. Rudd doing a very good job just to hold onto the back here at Taliancic. And I mean, we've seen Taliancic over quite a few seasons, very tough competitor to get through. So you're going to have to be right awake to it and look at where you want to stick that car down the inside to make this move pass.
He's not giving up though. They're down the main straight, the draft here. Let's see if he can get something under brakes. He is hard under brakes now. You got to get so wide there. We've already seen those cones get knocked out earlier from the teammates who were down there. Of course, Tom Frere just got one wheel off and took out a couple of those cones. So watch this one as we are on lap 8 of AOSC. So that's 46 up on screen. We thought we were going to get a couple more in than that. Of course, 15 minutes into this race. So they'll be getting nice and comfy in their race chairs at the moment.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. Once you find that rhythm, you don't want to break the concentration here. And seeing Rudd just really ranging right up on the back, closes it down just marginally under the brakes there. So that car looking very, very tidy at this point in time. And I wonder for Taliancic whether he's paying much attention to what's going on behind, because they've dropped a fair way back now off the back of Brian Borg. You can see him scampered off in the distance chasing after Tom Frere. These two absolutely inseparable.
Just seeing Corey Shepherd a bit of an off track there up on my event schedule, so I wonder whether he's just dropped a wheel. It doesn't look like he's dropped back anywhere on our timing screen, so that might just be a slight off track there. Of course, it does pick that up as we stay with the battle here, which is for position number 9 at the moment. Dylan Rudd there was actually position number 8 for Taliancic, who is in front, but Rudd not letting him get away at all. As you can see, Reese Keane in the background, the simrigs.com Mustang. Just, you can see them there. He's going to push hard, I think, at this point. He's going to want to try and get up on the back while these guys are having a battle, see if he can close that down. We're still talking about our leader at the moment, of course. Andrew Gillian is still leading the race over James Scott. As we go back to, is the number 100 there. We see car number 5 as well. That's Bailey Frid. So he's sandwiched in between Bradley Vaughan in 11 and Christian Smart in 13. Right in the middle there. The Synergy Sim racing car of Smart, though, putting a bit of pressure on the back of him. So on board with Bailey Frid at the moment, the number 5 track racer car.
Yeah, these pursuit cars are really starting to prove very difficult to get through on. So for Smart here, he's going to have to be looking at some opportunities. We might see him throw the nose out just to let him know he's looking, but just trying to close up under the draft. This could be a good opportunity. He's closing right up here. Look at the car down the inside. Thinks a little bit better of it this time by. Doesn't have the legs to get through there, but making hay while the sun shines. The pace between all these guys very, very good. Last time across the line, 207.7 for all 3 of these cars, so virtually matching everyone. They are dropped a little bit off from our race leaders who are down around that 206 range, but these guys a little further down, finding themselves some very good time while they're battling still.
Yeah, Bradley Vaughan got a little bit wide there, picked up a little bit of dust, didn't he? And Loose is fast, as it looks like a move from Fred now on the inside. He gets Vaughan there, and they're a teammate, so he won't want to keep that gap open though, because Christian Smart now is going to have a bit of a push down here as they're heading around now to turn number 6. They're going to get through the hurry downs very shortly. He's still on the outside there, but it looks like backing off though for Smart. He's just backed off there for a second, is it?
Yeah, Smart had a big moment there trying to get the power down, so big sidestep moment. The back came right around on him, and he was fortunate to gather that thing back up. And for Vaughan, that's the little bit of momentum he needed just to close back up. And obviously we saw those two teammates switch, so back underway for them. And Rob Bowden now going to close in for an opportunity back out front. That gap still hovering on that 0.3 of a second. Nothing between these front two. They are starting to drop Dyson just a fraction, and Shepherd's still just lurking around there in that 3rd spot.
I feel like Shepherd's just having a bit of a breath there. He's half a second behind. He hasn't really dropped any further off like you see Dyson, but it's the top 3 holding that big race pace at the moment. 206.5s for the top 3. So 206.55 on the last lap for Gilliam, a 206.57 for both Scott and Shepherd on the last lap. So nothing in it, boys. That's 200ths of a second there. And you go back to Dyson, he's dropped off maybe 0.2 of a second from those guys.
Dyson just going to play the smart game. He'll be saving that little bit of fuel because we're not that far out from our expected first pit stops coming in around that lap 16 mark. So he's going to just try and maybe see if he can get that little bit of an undercut, which will definitely bring him back into play as this one continues on. But these top 3, absolutely inseparable. You can throw a blanket over the top of them as they work their way down through the back straight.
I just completed... Sorry, Norrie, go for it.
I just had Sebastian Flock exiting track left at the carousel with an expired engine.
Oh, he must have been hard on gearing down, I reckon, under brakes to get an engine done already. So as we go back to our leaders there, Gilliam now still leading over James Scott in number 2 and Shepherd right behind. These guys are almost one livery together. That's pretty much what it looks like, one big livery when they go around the carousel. But here we go. They are currently going up. They're just about to hit the carousel now. They go left through turn number 8. Now we hit 9 as we start to go around this long right-hander. And there's just that slightly bigger gap back to Shepherd. He's got about half a second there, where it's about 0.3 between Gilliam and Scott at the moment. But they just seem to be in this holding pattern at the moment, lap after lap, probably about since really the start of the race. After about lap 3, they've sort of settled into this gap period.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see that much change from this point out to that pit stop. I think they're just getting in their rhythm, just hitting the marks, and we'll see the race come back up later on as they cycle their way through. Jacob Knight further down in the 19th spot, having a very good run. He's got Stephen Varga just in behind for United Sim Sports. Greg Sharp closing up on these guys as well. So 19th through 21st, and not a lot between them. It's 3 different teams doing a very nice job out there at the moment.
Yeah, so Jordan Ross just still over his teammate Tom Freer there in 5th position as he hold on. Like I say, Stephen Varga now up there in 20th position at the moment there in the Commodore, the ZB, and right behind the Penrite car there, Greg Sharp. So come around another right-hander. There is quite a few right-handers here. I can see why we spoke about there being so much tyre degradation on that front left as they go down the main straight. It is fast down here, and it is a nice sharp right-hander into turn number 1. Too far back, I think, to get him under brakes. Looks like a bit of a move there going on, just as we saw up on screen. Didn't quite grab who that was. It might have been Bowden or Vaughan there somewhere. Just put a little bit of a nose in there as we stay on track with Stephen Varga at the moment in the 868 Holden Commodore.
Yeah, I didn't see any changes up on timing and scoring there, so I think everyone just having a look to see what they can do in this early phase. A little further back, Warboys now has managed to jump up into 22nd over Troy Maguire. That's just those cars in the back of frame there. But for these guys out here, a little bit of a gap just between them. We see Varga closing right down in under brakes. It's actually whether he can get the drive out that he needs to have a look down through the hurry downs, a little bit of a wiggle. So might need to start thinking about the bar placements in the rear to get the most out of that car as they continue their way around.
Yeah, a little bit of work for the boys there. As you can see, Bradley Vaughan now in the 100 car. Rob Bowden behind him and Kyle Stokes. They're the three there all bunched up together. Stokes looks like he just off the race line. He was the one that put the nose in, I think, actually, on Bowden. That's who it was, Kyle Stokes. As we go on back with the track racer, number 100 there, Bradley Vaughan. Sandwich in between Christian Smart just in front and Rob Bowden behind. But Kyle Stokes in the Synergy Sim Racing car, he's all over the back of Rob Bowden. I don't know, he's not quite there. I don't think he's quite close enough, but he's definitely letting him know that he is around and sniffing for any sort of gap to put that car into.
Yeah, and Stokes is a pretty seasoned competitor here. He'll find that gap and be able to slot the way through there. So keep an eye on that. Rob Bowden, we saw last season, really come of age in this series. He's dragged that tanked SRT car well up the order, currently sitting in 14th position. He's lost a couple of spots from where he started, but that team has found very good form in these cars, and the setup's really starting to show through for him.
I do notice we've got some of the teams starting to spread out a little bit, but it's Synergy have got 5 and 6 at the moment, just off the back of that top 4 who are all in a big pack. And then you start to see a few more further down as we check it out there now. Kyle Stokes, one of the other Synergy team racers in the 888 car. He's wiggles under brakes. He's getting hard on those brakes. I tell you what, it's a little bit light in the rear as we see Vaughan there just kick up a little bit of dust. He hasn't gone too wide there, just run over the corner of that ripple strip. Oh, look, real cheese, people. Doesn't that make you hungry as we look at that in the background? Got a cheese sandwich about now.
No, never go wrong with a cheese sandwich. It's definitely what you need, but these guys certainly not going to be thinking of that. Well, maybe later on after the race, but right now...
A little bit loose there too, as he gets a little bit sideways there for Stokes.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple of times on those Synergy cars too, with they just losing a little bit of the rear end grip too.
Norrie, your thoughts that maybe, well, there we go, the front end now as he goes a little bit wider. Norrie, do you think some of the setup different for the Synergy guys? Maybe they've left the back a little bit tighter than other cars?
You probably want to have the rear end able to step out a bit more with the amount of tyre degradation on this circuit. You won't want to be overstressing your tyres. I was just noticing ahead of that battle pack you guys were watching, Dylan Rudd finally got that move done on Michael Taliancic down the Moraine Straight. So that job is done, and that is the closest battle pack inside the 10.
Well, they've gone back to their original positions at the moment too. So that puts Taliancic back into position 9 where he started. Dylan Rudd back into 8. So in the top 10 at the moment, it's looking like only Jordan Ross and Tom Freer have changed positions, the teammates from Synergy Sim Racing. They're the only two that have swapped around for position 5 and 6. And then it's back to position 11 for Bailey Frid, who's moved up 2 positions. Christian Smart, 3 positions. Bradley Vaughan, 4 positions. Rob Bowden's lost a couple. And Kyle Stokes has lost 4 positions at the moment. You can see him all over the back of Bowden there. So Stokes in 15th position. He's looking to go back into 14. Here we go down the main straight. He puts the nose out as we go back to our leaders now. Gilliam now has opened up a nice little lead at the moment. He's taken that out to half a second. That was 3/10 for about the last 5 laps. Now Shepherd closes it in on Scott. So I don't think Shepherd's actually moved too much further back from Gilliam. It's just Scott seems to be ping-ponging around in between these 2 cars. Maybe just backed off a bit to conserve a little bit of fuel there. As you did say, Dan, that the pit stops are going to be approaching us very shortly. From lap 16 possibly is where we could start to see cars start to come in. I I doubt we're going to see these top three come in on lap 16. There's a wheel just off onto the grass there for Gilliam, but it doesn't affect him in the run through to turn number 8.
No, not much there. I don't think it's going to really hurt him too much. Interesting looking at the lap times just down on the bottom of the screen there. It's, as you're saying, a bit of a pogo for Scott going back and forth. I think Gilliam definitely got a little bit more of a pace advantage at this stage of the race. You see he's able to extend that gap. Took a bit more time back. Lap 11 there, 0.4 of a second. That's a big margin to extend out on. But just seems a little bit inconsistent. He's got some light traffic up ahead just to contend with as well. So hopefully those guys not going to interfere with what is shaping up to be a great battle again for these three. But Scott just fluctuating. He was the quickest car though last time by a tenth over both Gilliam and Shepherd.
Yeah, you're right. Shepherd's sitting back and just waiting for this moment here as it looks like that position 32 I think we are coming up on, and I've got a little bit of movement here on my timing screen. I'm going to say that is Jacob Knight there that has just gone to the side there. Or it might be Cameron Veacock. I'm just trying to get the number off that one. So it's probably good timing there, the main straight. I see a couple of cars coming out of pit exit now. So they're going to start to contend with this lap traffic more frequently, I would expect. We'll start to see them come around. And like Norrie said, it looks like the loose setup is where everyone is for the tyre degradation, because they're all a little bit oversteer coming out of some of these corners, as we see them start to get very comfortable with those outside ripple strips and the dust starting to appear on quite a few of the corners. Looks like Scott may have made up a little bit of time there, just gets it back to 0.3 of a second, and the gap opens back to Shepherd. So, yeah, we keep saying that Gilliam and Shepherd seem to be the sticking points here, and Scott just moves in between them as he's comfortable doing. Maybe a little bit of an error there, lost him a couple of tenths on the previous lap. He's made it up. And if he can make up 0.2 of a second in one lap, in just a few corners, then I have a feeling maybe he's just quite comfortable sitting there, taking that little bit of slipstream and taking the advantage on the fuel saving.
Definitely. I mean, the pace between all three of these, particularly Scott, very consistent. If we have a look at the lap times, there's not much separating lap by lap basis. So he's really just found the groove, just nailing those marks time and time again as they work through. The only differential is that little bit of lap traffic, and as we saw down the front straight, it was Braden O'Loughlin who went through, and we did see, I think, Travis Lewis down into 5 for the flip-flop racing. A lot of damage on the front end of that car, and surprised that's still running around as the 147. That's James Kingscott just stepping sideways and allowing this battle to continue. In the background, you see Dyson working through on that lap traffic as well. Dyson's really fallen off in this late phase of the stint. I'm surprised that he has dropped off as much as he has. We'll see whether he's able to make up some time during that pit stop cycle. So,
to the top three there, Scott got sideways. He actually was, he was sideways there, and I reckon that was through turn 12 coming out of there. So he's onto it. They do have the car set up loose as we are on board now with Andrew Dyson there in the simrigs.com Ford Mustang, as he completes another lap, and we have a look there. So Shepherd to Dyson at the moment, there is a little bit of a gap there. You can see the difference in the lap times. So as we go through the last few, you know, there's 3 to 4 of a second. Sideways in the background there, is that the 147 again?
Yeah, 147 again, off wide through turn 1, and that's a little bit awkward there for Dyson. Did have to recorrect, but just looking at that, those lap times, the setup for Dyson might just be out the window a fraction, because I mean he was all over those front three like a rash in the opening few laps, but just not able to keep the tyres underneath him at this point. We're seeing on average between 2 and 0.4 of a second dropped lap on lap. So not sure what's going on there. Maybe looking at a little bit of a change in tyre pressures through the next pit stop cycle to see whether that will help him out, but just missed the mark just a fraction on that setup.
He's actually using a lot of the racetrack too. We notice on those corners where there's not as much grass, there's a bit of bitumen and concrete runoff. He is making full use of that at the moment. And I would say it's a little bit more than what I've seen from the other drivers so far in the coverage. So he's definitely trying to keep that tyre wear down. I think that is his issue for sure, as that big carousel loads up that front left. And it looks like he holds on to that one. Everyone's sort of sitting in the middle of that as we go back to a bit of a battle further down the pack. And it is the 888 car of Stokes, who has got past Rob Bowden and Bradley Vaughan, and he's in 13 positions. So he's made up 2 positions in the last couple of laps. He was 4 positions down where he started in 11. So back up to 13. and Christian Smart's the next car that's quite a bit in front of him, actually, I think. So Christian Smart is, yeah, there's a fair bit of a gap there to chase him down. He's going to have to do something under pit stop strategy, I think, to get that time back at the moment. You can see them just up in front. Christian Smart all over the back of Bailey Frid, but he's got the job done. Stokes there are Bradley Vaughan and Rob Bowden, who are in the background there, and Bowden now putting a fair bit of pressure onto Vaughan as well.
They're only going to put the first with Jordan Ross and Brian Borg, the first to be stoppers.
And that's interesting to see those guys blink. I'm surprised maybe Scott didn't jump at that opportunity, but he's going to go out and lead a lap. We'll see how his pace is now that he is released. There's quite a few more cars too looking like they're going to start funneling through the lane, but it's an interesting one. It's about a lap earlier than we expected on the pit stop timing.
It's lap 16 though.
Previously to these guys, Tyson McAvoy, Jaden Borg and Matthew Brunt also made stops, so they blinked first. These guys are blinking about on par.
Well, maybe they're counting on that safety car. Maybe there is a bit of a expectation with 60 cars, well 58 cars on track here for race number 176, 300 kilometres, so we're saying 46 laps up there on the timing system at the moment. Maybe they're fingers crossed that might make the big difference and get the undercut on some of these guys in the top 10.
Yeah, quite possibly. Well, hopefully he's able to get something done with that one, because I mean, if the stop's not too bad, he should definitely be able to call some back. We'll keep an eye on where he's going to filter back out into the traffic as well, because that'll be the next thing, is where does he come out? It looks like he's got himself some nice clear roads, so should be able to press on quite quickly, because the biggest concern is you come out amongst it all that traffic and you're stuck there, and that's going to definitely throw the opportunity for a good race win. So keep an eye on that. James Scott, though, purple in sector 3 this time by, so he is definitely getting on with business, trying to make that little bit of a difference he needs to get back into first spot.
Yeah, no, he's got a little bit of clean air here, Gilliam. I'm just having a look up on the track map. So he's got in front of him, looks like Braden O'Loughlin, I'm going to say, as my timing screen moves around. It could be someone different. But yeah, he's catching him very fast, though, as he turns into turn number 6 there, comes out of 6 and starts to head up through the hurry downs. So as you see, Scott there sideways, those tyres, nothing left on him. He's almost going to slide it into pit lane there. It's going to be hard under brakes as he pulls this one in. Let's hope those back tyres can hold on just long enough to pull him up. So laps 17 it will be. They're coming around completing lap 16 now, and it looks like all of our leaders are heading in. Corey Shepherd right behind him as well.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on what the stationary time is there. So Gilliam, 1 minute 13 total transit time, 33 seconds on the pit stop phase as well, as looks like Scott still transiting down into his box there, and it's a long pit lane for these guys to come through, so a lot of time to be lost and wait if you can get it right.
Yeah, we are eagerly watching the timing screens in the background. I know not everyone can see. We can see something starting to happen up there as the gap is closing. Gilliam is coming around. He's coming on the main straight now, the last corner, turn 14, as it looks like pit lane. We're checking it out. Scott, oh, he's gone actually a bit longer in pit lane, so he's gone past his time. Here we go. This is pit exit though as we come around. I'm sure Norrie's watching this, holding his breath there. Scott on the right-hand side, so Gilliam gets back in front. Scott will have to go in behind, and Shepherd too, a little bit further back, so Scott may get a little bit of advantage. I'll let you guys go through that and check out the times and see what the difference is there. But Gilliam gets back in, and this is our effective race leader once again. Gilliam back in the lead, Scott behind. He's going to have to push hard, like you say, a couple of purple sector times there once he had a lap of fresh air to himself. And it's gone back out to 1.1 seconds. That was 0.3 of a second before the pit stop.
That just shows the in-lap from James Scott would have been quite hot, but it does Andrew Gillingham would have had quite clear track for his outlap as well, so both evenly matched with clear track in front of them. That gap does look more evident though than when they pitted.
Yeah, I'm just looking too at the stationary times for all these competitors. So for Gilliam and Scott, nothing in them at all. 33 seconds stationary for both of those cars. Corey Shepherd a little longer, 34, and you see where the gap is now. It's out to 2.5 off the back of Scott. He's got to make up close to 4 seconds now to close back into Andrew Gilliam. So that lap earlier pit stop for Gilliam, absolutely fantastic.
Head back to the 017, Brian Borg, Premier Racing Team Ford Mustang there, as he looks like he's heading around that carousel. So Borgie's come back out in position number 6. He is up one position in front of Tom Freer, but he's still behind Jordan Ross. So Tom Freer has dropped a position in the Synergy Sim Racing back to position number 7 at the moment. Ross holding out in 5, and it's Borgie is going to be stuck here in the middle of this little pack. A little bit of gap between all of them though, so he's not under too much pressure. He can hold on to that racing line. As you can see Tom Freer just there in the background. Looks like, yeah, he's been in the pits as well. So pretty much all of these top 20 look like they have gone into the pit so far, gents. And Norrie, or anyone there with a standout had to do any race repairs so far that you can see?
Matthew Brunt early on had a no boot on that one, and Sebastian Flock is back out with that engine repaired.
Well, it's good to see him out and doing some laps. As it looks like we bring up, of course, 62. Neil Pearson, one of the teammates in the simrigs.com Ford Mustangs, and he is under a lot of pressure there from Cameron Veacock just behind. Yeah, it looks like just in front, those Jamie Stovall, who's got that little bit of a lead. As we hold on to Veacock, and he's under pressure. Jacob Knight behind him. Then it's Stephen Varga, Aaron Gilbert, Blake Warboys right behind him. So there's a little bit of a pack going on here now, but it looks like this is where the race is with these three up on screen. As you can see, Jacob Knight in this sandwich at the moment. Veacock just in front, Varga in behind. But Knight putting the pressure on the Veacock. He's just a little wiggle on the brakes there, hoping he can close that gap down. As we just keep kicking the dust up on that corner, don't we, at the moment? And that's turn number 3 as they come out. It's starting to dust the track up a little bit there, but everyone seems to be comfortable just putting that little bit of a wheel off on the exit there. The Ribble Strip, here we go, comes down the inside, puts the nose out there, can't miss it too in the side mirrors. But no, it looks like Veacock just holds onto his line there, doesn't cut down too much. There's a little bit of room there and just gives him that drive through the corner. So not able to get that done under brakes at the moment.
No, and while that was going on, also Warboys down the inside of Gilbert into 5 as well, so a bit of a position change. Just a little further back for those two, so back to status quo, and they're off underway. Further down in that fight as well, Greg Sharp all over the back of Sean Thompson, 092 cars. We watch the guys funnel through out in towards the carousel as get a good look at how these cars are working their way through, and everyone looking pretty good at this point. Obviously we know fresh tyres do a wonderful thing to mask those little imperfections for the opening laps, but these guys are very, very close together.
Yeah, Gilliam there, it looks like James Scott is shutting that gap down a little bit at the moment, so he's just trying to close that down as best he can, but I don't think he's going to want to push too hard. As you can see in the background there, hard under brakes there, is at the number 63, Blake Warboys, putting some pressure on Varga now. So Warboys on a big charge at the moment. Knight's going to have to get it over Veacock soon, because I reckon Warboys is going to be right there. There's only can't be too many more corners, I would say, as Warboys right up under that spoiler now of Varga. He's got the draft done. Here we go. It's a big run down the main straight as we get on the front splitter. Look how close it is. All over the back of the Parramatta Isuzu Ute ZB Commodore. Will he have a go? Here we go. He puts the nose out. Is he going to get him under brakes? No, I don't think he's going to get it done this time. He wasn't quite there.
Interesting to see Varga actually getting a really solid run through that final corner and able to extend a little bit of a buffer down to turn 1. This is an opportunity here for Warriors down the inside. Thinks about it, just not able to get it done under braking there. But the United Sim Racing car there of Varga looking very, very sharp in a straight line. You can always see him just extend that little bit of a margin. So head down to 5. We'll see what it's like on the brakes. We might hang on to this shot here. Just have a look at how these guys go. Warboy's big lunge down the inside. Has he got enough to get this one done? Sends it from a mile, and that's a nice shot down the inside. He's got a hold.
Oh, he nudges him around too as he wipes the livery off the side. Wow, we'll leave that one for race control, boys.
Yeah, racing incident on that one. Not much in it from what I can see anyway, but definitely race control will take a look at that and sort it out. But that's definitely going to hurt Warboys. He dropped a huge amount of spots from that as a result.
Just getting into it. Jinx Shifters car, the number 13. So it's good to see Harris is still getting around there in that beautiful, really shiny silver livery too. I love when they get the chrome done on these as we check him out there. 747 in front. That's Sharp just in front of him. Just having a look, actually, I've got that wrong. That is not Rob Harris. That's a 92, but same livery there as Sean Thompson. So that's what's throwing me off on my screen. But it's good to see this is going on for position number 22 at the moment.
Well, that's it. And there's Rob Harris just lurking just a couple of spots behind there as well. So the two teammates looking pretty racy at this point in time. Matty Mascord all over the back here of Thompson's. They ride the crest through 13. Beautiful wiggle there as well for Thompson. So he's going to have to try and get that car settled down a little bit. We'll have a look as they work their way up towards the front straight here. We'll see whether Mascord's got an opportunity for a run down the inside here. He's definitely got the pace in this early phase. Brakes will be interesting to see though.
Yeah, I'm interested to look up the top. I do have some movement on my timing screen, but I know that's not always the way it is the gap down there between Gillian and Scott seems to be just staying stable at the moment out there for one, but we are looking on board now with Matty Mascord at the moment, and he's been in all sorts of battles in round one. He always seems to get sandwiched in between a couple of cars, and it must be the best sort of racing though. It must be fun. It must be great to lead a race, but the best part about racing is getting stuck in these battles, getting in the trenches with the boys, and having plenty of pressure put on you as well. It keeps it exciting, keeps you busy throughout the races. This is position number 24 he is at the moment. He's up 8 positions though. That's a good little move for him to get him into the top 30. So position 24 is a little bit loose there for Sean Thompson just in front. He's going to have to hold on to it though. I'm just having a look to see if Thompson's actually come in for a pit. I don't think he has, according to my screen.
No, came in a fair bit earlier. It looks like lap 7 he was in the lane. It was one of our early stoppers, so a little bit of contact for him, but has got himself back underway. As we keep a look at Greg Sharp here working through the carousel, let's have a look to see how this car is handling, and it looks not too bad at this point in time. Gets the car down onto the apex there and fires it out through the exit using that little bit of roam. So these guys looking pretty good. Rob Harris has dropped off a little fraction from this battle, and two ahead, Maguire and Varga just starting to extend a little bit of an advantage.
I feel like Matty Mascord too is probably put the pressure on for a couple of laps now, just having a bit of a breath there. There just seems to be a little bit of bitumen between them, as it looks like Thompson goes for the big dive there on the inside. He's not going to get the run off the corner that we have seen Sharp do, and now we're starting to see Mascord looks like he's might be going past as well. He was putting a bit of pressure on in the background. He has got the move done, so no, Thompson's had a bit of an issue. Rob Harris looks like he may have gone through too on my timing screen. It'll be hard to tell as the two teammates of the similar livery. We'll have to look for the numbers on those cars as they go by, but Sharp just going out there in front at the moment, chasing up Troy Maguire in front from the Taipan Esports Ford Mustang, the 63. As I just have a look there at Knight go by, and he still hasn't got over Veacock, and Varga putting all that pressure on just behind him. So there's quite a few little battles going on in the pack at the moment. As we bring it up on screen there, you can see Sharp closing in, Maguire just in front, Varga in front of him.
Yeah, Varga doing a really solid job here just to hold off Maguire here, and Maguire's going to have to be cautious. If he can't get this move done in the next lap or so, he's going to have to then start contending with a shot from behind in Greg Sharp there. A little further up, Knight finally gets that move done down into 5 over Veacock and goes very defensive quickly early on just to shut the door there, maintain that spot as they crest the hill. Nice move from him, and that's a long time coming, that pass.
I think Veacock was looking for the crisscross there for a second. He was definitely tried it on, but like you say, Knight closed that gap down and made sure he could get it done, but I don't think he's going to ease off at all. Knight has a little bit more pace than him, but it's taken him quite a few laps to get by, so he's not hugely faster. Interesting to watch a few more from down there, as we were talking about Thompson a bit earlier with Sean Thompson, that is, coming in pitting early. I think that's why we've seen him a little bit loose. That tyres start to wear off as we go into lap 21 at the moment here in race number 176 of AOSC. Of course, it is season 10 round 2 here at Road America, all thanks to our sponsors Jinx Shifters, Race Circuit Art Australia, 6th Gear Imagery, Sydney Computers, AJ Insurance Services, simrigs.com, and track cams for gourmets. Bringing you the coverage, of course, Nick Housley in the background there doing our production here again tonight. Of course, we are Aussie produced and coming out live, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, of course, AOSC TV. Look here, Scott already up on the back of Gillian too. He's closed that gap. That was out to 1.3 seconds when they came out of the pit stops. They were on, of course, Scott did one extra lap over Gillian. But now that's they're hovering around those 0.3 of a second again as Shepherd's dropped right back and Dyson is 8.5 seconds. So a big difference in the car setup for those two because there wasn't that big a gap when they came out of the pits. So maybe just caught up in some lap traffic and we've missed that one. But the battle for 1 and 2 is still going on, and it's Scott actually doing the chasing this time.
Scott's really firing on all cylinders, no pun intended, through that one. But just looking really good, especially through the mid part of the lap. They're able to gain a few tenths here and there over Gilliam, which has definitely helped him pull that advantage back in his favour, 0.4 of a second through the kink, a little bit of a wiggle, and that car getting through quite nicely. As you're saying, Shepherd down in that third spot, he is not going to be happy to see those two cars start to get away from him, especially after how he ran in that first stint where he was all over the back of Scott and Gilliam. So going to be wondering what's happened there. Maybe it's the tyres starting to eke away a little bit, maybe just needing a little bit of a bar adjustment because they are very limited as to what they're able to adjust in these cars here. We'll see whether he's able to come through as we get through the second round of pit stops.
Tell you what, Scott just looks like he's just happy to slide that car a little, isn't he? It's a little bit loose. In talking to him off air when we did an interview with him a couple of weeks ago, he did say he likes the car a little bit loose, but he just likes to slide it off the corner a bit, just, you know, not too tight really. And he looks quite comfortable there, just being in second position at the moment. He doesn't look like he's ready to sort of push into that number one. He's still got quite a few laps left to go because if we go by the timer up the top there, we are about halfway through this race at the moment, and all the pressure is on Gilliam at the moment because Scott can just put those laps back to back to back. He's got no issue doing that one. We've still got one more pit stop. Be interesting to see if maybe he tries the undercut there or things he can do. As he goes to put the nose in, shows it this time for Scott. Oh no, Gilliam has to cover. Here we go, the crisscross coming in. He's tight coming out. Scott, though, he's not pushing wide. Gilliam uses all that ribble strip. He's right under that back spoiler, though. Tell you what, there's nothing in this one. 0.2 of a second there as we look at from the rear of Gilliam's car, who's leading this race, and Scott is applying the pressure now on lap number 23, halfway through this race. We are 48 minutes in, halfway through 300 kilometres, the first of the single driver endurance races in this 16 race season. It is race number 2 of season 10. And it has been exciting. We had an exciting round 1, and round 2 has not been a disappointment so far. There are so many battles going on in the field as it looks like Scott just sort of backs off a little bit here as they come back over the kink and head down this back section now. It seems to be he's a little bit racier, probably up through the hurry downs and around the carousel. He does like to turn in a little bit early. You can see that's why he closes the gap up there, and then coming out of the corner, Gilliam just seems to get the run there.
Yeah, Gilliam's car looking very good on that exit run for those guys as they work their way into 14 here. Scott exceptionally well under brakes as he closes it through. He's going to be a little bit off the back here up the hill. He's going to be struggling to try and maybe look at an opportunity, but he's going to be wondering what does he need to do to start closing that gap down a little more.
I said he likes to slide that car around, and that was the perfect shot to show that, didn't he? He just slid it around turn 14, but he doesn't seem to be worried on the steering. You don't see too much movement in the wheel. He knows his car. He does a lot of laps there as we go on board now. As you see, hanging off the roll cage, hard there under brakes. He blips down through the gears. They come around, and that looks like that was turn number 3. Some lap traffic as they come up under the real cheese truck. And do another lap there. We are on lap 24 of 46 there. Not a lot of wheel movement there at the moment, though. You can see that. Very steady on. Just has a little bit of a look. Slightly tighter racing line on this one. I think he's just getting in those side mirrors and just letting Gilliam know that he's there. Not that Gilliam doesn't really. He's been there the whole race at the moment. So there is nothing in it. 0.3 of a second there.
Yeah, just looking there, as you see them work their way through the hurry, just that little bit more precision in the front end of the Altus car, able to get through onto the apex of that corner. I'll be interested to see just the throttle control as the guys work their way through. Let's have a listen through the carousel. He just breathes on the throttle there just to hold that wheel spin at bay, and that was a nice run for Scott through there. Loses a fraction through. You see that little bit of a dab on the brakes to settle the nose through the kink, but these guys absolutely mastering their craft right now.
See him there in 6th gear. He's in top gear at the moment. I've seen him red line a couple of times there for Scott, though. It just seems to me maybe he's just... I wouldn't call it short shifting. He's definitely not holding on to the gears, though. I think he's not coasting, but cruising at the moment. He's content at this race pace.
Yeah, really just rolling the throttle at that point, just to not excite the tyres on it, keep everything under him as he needs to, and just maintain that flow and rhythm that's helping him out so much. Again, purple sector through sector 2 on this one. They've got a little bit of lap traffic. I think that might be Jaden Borg, the 094 Penrite car, just ahead that they're going to have to contend with. We'll see whether this move is. I expect we'll see Jaden just step to the side there and allow these two continue their fight on.
Well, I hope he does, because we want to see this battle continue on for position number 1. Shepard's dropped back now. It's telling us 6.4 seconds back to Shepard, who was right on the back of James Scott in the first 16 laps. And Dyson's dropped back another 4 seconds from that, 3.5 seconds from that. He's 10 seconds from the leader at the moment. So the top 4 in the first 16 laps, you could throw a sheet over the top 3, and Dyson just out in 4 wasn't far behind. And now these two really have excelled after the pit stops and starting to push hard. Maybe... Do you think it's just a different setup in the cars? Maybe Norrie, maybe the guys from Shepard and Dyson there just put a bit too much setup into the car, too much tyre wear?
It could be the setup. It could also be the fuel load. Remember, these guys stopped about lap 16, so maybe 7 laps to go and we'll see them in again. Some of them might decide to come in a bit early and see if they can fill it up earlier for the end of the race. But yeah, it definitely looks like setup is holding those guys back.
Norrie, what I really want to see though is next week we need your webcam set up, and I want to see you in your whiteboard. Okay?
I'll see what I can do.
Let's just throw something at Nick in the background. Something else he has to do is cross to your webcam while you talk about the fuel strategy. I think that's how we can do it. Sharp up on screen at the moment with Matty Mascord just behind him there. They've moved up, Matty Mascord's gone up another position. He was in 24 last time we checked in on him, with Rob Harris behind him. They all got past the teammate, Rob Harris's teammate there, Thompson, who's dropped back in the field quite a bit. But Sharp there holding on. Mascord's shut down that gap. There's not much in this one at all at the moment, with it looks like about 0.3 of a second. He slides it out there in the NSRE Sports Mustang. Of course, just in front, though, Sharp just goes in that sort of midline, or I'd say it's probably about a third of the track off the apex there, going around the carousel. Everyone seems to be doing a little bit different there, as they like to hold on to that.
Yeah, well, there's about 5 or 6 lines that you can take through that area just to try and get the most out of your car, and it all is all set up dependent as to how you're able to float the car through there also.
He puts the nose in. Does he get the job done? He does under brakes, and it looks like Mascord will take over position number 20. So Mascord has now moved up 12 positions on my timing screen. So 12 positions for Matty Mascord. So that's another great move for him. He's having a good time out there with these battles. He's going to have to watch out, though, because Sharp is staying on the back end of him. You think Mascord will have the pace, though, to hold on to that one, and in front, though, he'll have to be chasing down Troy Maguire.
Yeah, he was able to get a nice getaway off that final corner as well, so he's got a little bit of breathing room to the tune of about half a second up over the start-finish line. There's a little bit of a fight just ahead of these two as well, with Varga and Cox and Maguire, so still going at it. I mean, these guys have been inseparable for the last 5 or 6 laps, so they worked their way around, and Maguire's got to be wondering what does he need to do to get that car through.
Well, he's got about 20 laps left to find out. He's let's hope we are past halfway on this race at the moment. 55 minutes in, all thanks to our sponsors, of course, Jinx Shifters, Race Circuit Art Australia, 6th Gear Imagery, Sydney Computers, AJ Insurance Services, simrigs.com, and Track Cams for Gourmets. Round 2 here at Road America, and we are over the halfway point right now, and up on screen is Stephen Varga there with a bit of pressure on him at the moment from Troy Maguire, but a bit of a gap going up in above them to Vcox. So this is position number 18 on screen at the moment, 19 just behind Maguire, and you can see Matty Mascord now closing that gap. He's just got past Greg Sharp, and now he's chasing down Maguire.
There's a car off facing the wrong way there on the exit or entry into the carousel. Who was that stationary there? That potentially...
to get Norrie to have a look at that one, actually, and get back to us in a second, because that will be interesting to find out. Hopefully that's not someone We'll wait for our roaming reporter to let us know, as it looks like a move might be done here. Maguire's going to go here as we check out a replay. Oh, the exciting bit is done. Let's have a look here. The real cheese people. What have they got to bring us? Oh no, we're a far way off, and looks like a wheel off there for someone too, just onto the grass there. And we'll head back to the race. Maguire does not get it done. Varga holds onto his position, so that was a tight one there, and we had to check that out post-race and maybe get some footage for our shows. Just a bit of a slide there for Varga, loose in the rear end. A few of these cars are set up nice and loose at the moment. You can see another move here down the main straight. Looks like he's going to get it done this time though. Maguire putting all the pressure on. He's got it done. He's just got to hold on to the brakes here. Mascord's going to get right up under the back of both of them. And there we go. Maguire gets it done, and Mascord puts his nose in as well, does he? No, Varga slots back in. Mascord will have to stay behind. He's got the flashing lights though. And I don't think Varga's going to give this up though. He is chasing him down again, right up the back of Maguire at the moment. Maybe a little bit of tyre wear used in that one in turn number 1. Is hard down there at the moment. It looks like now they start to head down this little straight here, and they go into turn number 5 for a sharp left-hander. Bit of a, it's probably a little bit more than 90 degrees here, as Mascot just off the back of these now in this pack. Sideways there. Aha, Maguire. The car is loose. I think there is not much tyre left on that. 27 laps in.
No, did a very good job to move that car through. And surprise for Mascot, they're just not able to get that position change done into 1. And he was fortunate just to be able to pull that car back. We didn't see what could have been a massive wreck for those two guys down there, and this fight going to rage on for a lot longer to come. Rob Harris just in behind has closed right up onto the back of Greg Sharp as well, so good fights going up and down throughout the field. We've got a few big gaps, but quite a few cars here very, very close together. Stovall and Knight a little further ahead of these guys, only a few tenths of a second separating them as they fire down in towards Canada Corner. Just off the back of Ecock, since he got out and in behind Knight, they've been really able to work together and close that gap up to Jamie Stovall.
Sorry boys, just that car turned around was Travis Lewis. He's a couple laps down and having a hell of a night. So Travis Lewis, that car turned around.
So it doesn't look like anyone else involved in that one, Norrie. That was a pretty clean turnaround on his own.
Pretty solo effort, yep.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, we do have 58 cars in the race tonight, so one massive race. We know it's 6.5 kilometres to spread out on, and we've got 46 laps to do it in, but still 58 cars is a lot to have on track. And what was really surprising was the start of this race, Dan and Norrie. I was impressed that we did not see a lot more carnage, so the racing's been very good tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, that was probably the one big takeout we took from the pre-race show and the track facts is, you know, you're going to see 2 and 3 wide action for everyone funneling down in there. And we sort of thought that was going to be where the big one was going to unfold in that early phase of the race. They were doing a hell of a job to get through it. And, you know, we saw them get down to single file very, very quickly through that section. And as a result, no incidents and no need for Scotty Chambers to get out in the AMG Mercedes safety car and take that around for another lap.
You mean the Stig?
Right on cue, safety car called.
Oh, there we go. That was you couldn't do that better if you asked, could you, Dan? That was exactly when we're talking about it. There's a bit of a slide there for. Just have a look. That looks like that is Varga just in front, sliding the car around, and with this safety car coming out on track. This is going to make things interesting, of course. How does that play, Norrie? Though we're 28 laps in. Are they going to be able to put enough fuel until the end?
Just.
So do you take the risk and fill up and try and maybe coast a little into some corners? It looks like there's quite a few people in the background coming in.
So if you take in the normal fact that 32 would be our stopping point from lap 16 as the first stop, that's roughly, that's a race down the lane. Race down the lane for Gillingham and James Scott, but it's roughly 14 back to the end of the race from here, so they should be able to make it on this tank, but it's going to be a lot of fuel saving behind that safety car.
I think it's probably too is Shepherd and Dyson can probably benefit out of this, maybe a change of tyre pressures or something as well. Under safety car, they're going to close that gap right up, so another chance for them too to get back in this.
But on Jack's first.
Awesome. Oh yeah, there you go. You're right. No, jump in. Scott has got out first. Big move there.
So if he can fuel save now, that's him done to the end of the race.
Yeah, no doubt. We're going to see all these guys pluck 6th gear, a lot of clutching to get themselves around up to the back of the safety car, which is down around, I think, Canada Corner at this point in time. So a little bit of track for them to get through. Actually, back in the lane. So that was a quick one, done and run there. Wasn't sure what's going on with that one, but for the guys behind with Rudd and all those guys coming back into it, they're going to be right in contention now to have a good solid crack to finish off this race.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to bunch them back up. The Awesome Foursome are going to be back out. Of course, James Scott now in the lead over Gilliam. That is the first time in the race. Oh, sorry, second time in the race that he has led, because Gilliam did come in and pit a lap earlier in their first pit stop around lap 16, whereas James Scott and that held on for one more lap. Corey Shepherd and Andrew Dyson hold into 3 and 4, but it puts those top 4 back within just tenths of a second for the restart of this one. Of course, we have completed 29 laps of 46 here for the Jinx Shifters. AOSC Season 10 round number 2 here at Road America, and it's race 176. We will correct that from our pre-race show. We've had the facts. Nick has been all over it and made sure that it is 176 in the history of AOSC. So that is great to see. A bit of a shout out to some of our other sponsors, of course, Sydney Computers. They've got off-the-shelf racing computers, desktops, all that sort of stuff. All custom-made computers and selected products at the moment will get you free entry into AOSC if you buy from Sydney Computers. Don't forget, also, there's 10% off at AJ Insurance Services. They can get all your business and personal insurance brokers. So go and see them if they can get a better deal for you on your insurance. That's AJ Insurance Services. Best to give them a ring. Check them out on Facebook or their website. Maybe they can get you a better insurance deal, especially at the moment while we've got everything going on. Good if you've got a bit of time up your sleeve. Tell them you're an AOSC member or show them your membership. Let them know you're racing. 10% off for AJ Insurance customers who are AOSC members. Simrigs.com, of course, selected products as well. They make all those high-end profile rigs, all your sim rigs, pedals, direct drive wheels, and wheel kits. Australian owned and operated, and they are also giving away free entry into AOSC with selected products. So simrigs.com says it all, really, doesn't it? Check them out on Facebook. Got plenty going on. And while we say that, we've got on our pre-race show now, we've got the Show Us Your Rig segment, all thanks to simrigs.com. So if you've got a bit of a rig at home, whether you're part of AOSC or you're not, you're part of AOSC, it's in our Discord channel. You can upload your photos, tell us what you're running, all your gear, what you got, pedals, steering wheel, whether you got a simrig.com rig or what else. But if you're just one of our viewers at home and you want to get involved, send it into our Facebook page, of course, AOSC. And that'll be great to see everyone getting onto that one. And if you haven't already, get to the YouTube channel and subscribe to AOSC TV.
As you see the field work their way behind the guys of James Scott there. No, what are we likely to expect come the restart for this one? We did see Race Control put some notes out around safety car procedure for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. The safety car restart line is further onto the main straight. So from that final corner directly up the hill is the safety car restart line. Thankfully, we've seen James Scott launch a bunch of restarts in AOSC over last season, and we know his tactic. But Andrew Gillingham, he tricked me there. He tricked me of the only one there that he was going into the lane again. But the restart will be James Scott's specialty. If he can pull away and give Andrew Gillingham a bit of a dummy there, he might be able to blitz the field a little bit. But yeah, at the moment, just catching up to the safety car now, which is heading the field at turn 1.
Good to see the AMG leading us out, boys. That's a fantastic looking car, the GT3 there. As it slowly gets around there, as our cars catch up to them. This one's going to be an interesting restart. I'm not sure if you've spoken to any of the boys on Discord, Norrie, but do you think there'll be many setup changes there for Shepherd and Dyson on that pit stop?
I don't think many changes would have been going through. It mainly, to me, they'd be keeping the car as it was sort of thing, but you will need to maximise your fuel save, because you're going to need to make sure you've got plenty of juice in the tank to finish this one.
So that's I wonder whether they were doing a bit of fuel saving last time once they just dropped off the back of those top 2, hoping that if the race went on that they could maybe get them on a pit stop, but it's not going to be under safety cars. We get a couple of drive-bys going on for some of the guys further down the pack as they get around. So the big news is James Scott has now taken the lead over Andrew Gilliam in this race. Gilliam has led us all the way bar one lap where he came in early on the pit stop. But effectively, he has been the race leader the whole time, and he managed to get that done after the first pit stop. Everyone's come now in for their second pit stop, everyone who's in our lead lap. And James Scott did the undercut there and got out in front on this one. So Corey Shepherd and Andrew Dyson had backed off. Corey Shepherd was 6.5 seconds behind the leader, and Andrew Dyson just over 10 seconds behind. Now they are right back behind them. So these four, the awesome foursome back together. Be very interesting to see how we go.
Interesting to see that James Scott was sticking with Andrew Gillingham for the opening stanza of this race. Interesting to see if now those roles have been reversed, Andrew Gillingham has enough to get past James Scott, or if he's just going to sit on the back bumper and read the part number.
Have a look also down there. Looks like Borg here is moved up. Brian Borg, he's gone into 6th, so he's up one position now in the Premier Racing team. Jordan Ross up into 5, so it's good to see him after a 10th place last week. Tom Freer back there, so Borgie got past Freer. Jordan Ross and Tom Freer, the teammates, were having a good little race on a bit earlier in the race, but Jordan Ross was quicker and got past. Dylan Rudd in 8, Michael Taliancic in 9, so he's in the top 10 this time, and he probably didn't have the race he was looking for in round 1, so good to see him back in the top 10. And Christian Smart has made it into that 10th position now, so there's your top 10 at the moment. A couple of others further down we probably need to see. Todd Knight looks like, well, he got past Veacock after a bit of a battle going on between those two a few laps ago, so he'll have a chance now to get up on Stovald. And I wonder whether Maguire now will get over Veacock, because they were pretty close, having a bit of a good little battle there as well. Matty Mascord has dropped back. Looks like Greg Sharp's got him, because he did get past him from memory. Is that right, guys, that Matty Mascord was up one position on where he was now? I'm just trying to have a bit of a look. He's actually in 22nd. He's 10 positions up from where he was. He was in 20th a bit earlier, but looks like still getting a couple of waiver rounds here, as we can see him just finding their position. Just trying to see if we're going green again. It looks like we're in for a restart. I'm looking up there. Looks like safety car is still out for one more lap. So 30 laps down. We will be conserving as much fuel as possible. We've heard it from our pit lane man, our technical guy Norrie has said, you can fill up, and if we conserve fuel, they can make it home. So they will be coasting around here up behind the safety car until they know it's a restart, where they get right up. So you see there, James Scott just opens up a little bit of a gap there over Andrew Gilliam. It is under safety car at the moment. Everything is happening. I'm just trying to see if we've got everyone on our lead lap at the moment. As we can see, well, let's run through them for you at the moment. James Scott leading, Andrew Gilliam in 2nd, Corey Shepherd 3rd, Andrew Dyson 4, Jordan Ross 5, Brian Borg in 6th, Tom Freer in 7, Dylan Rudd in 8, Michael Taliancic in 9, Christian Smart in 10. They're your top 10. Then we go Kyle Stokes, Bailey Frid, Reece Keane, Rob Bowden, Neil Pearson, Bradley Vaughan, Jamie Stovald, Jacob Knight, Cameron Veacock, and Troy Maguire will be 11 to 20. Then it's back to Greg Sharp, Matty Mascord, Stephen Varga, Rob Harris, Jamie Dyke, Blake Warboys, who's had some good battles backwards and forwards. Then Logan Barnett, Tyson McAvoy, Jamie Davis, and Matthew Brunt will be 21 to 30. So they're your top 30 at the moment out there on the lead lap. I do believe it is. They've all managed to make it around. A lot of drive-bys at the moment, so they will go through, and a few guys will get back onto that lead lap. Really, we are 2 pit stops in. That is pretty much where it's at. 2 pit stops in. They can make it home from here. So they can make it all the way to the finish of the race if they heat their fuel loads. They fill up all the way to the top of the fuel tank in the last pit stop, and they try and conserve a bit of fuel. We saw 16 laps out of the first stint. We're expecting him to come in around lap 32 and then push on home for the last 14 laps. So behind the safety car now, we do believe they can do it. It'll be interesting at the end of the race who just backs off a little bit, and where they're coasting around the corners, whether everyone has to do it or whether they'll push off the start. I know that James Scott can be a very defensive driver. He understands his cars very well. He has that slightly tight driving line into the corners, which probably throws a couple of the guys off when they're trying to put the nose in there under brakes. We saw him very defensive over the finish line last week to win by 41 thousandths of a second. So Andrew Gilliam's got his work cut out for him now that he is in second place.
Definitely, and for a driver that can hold and save the fuel that he needs to do, James Scott's a very well-rounded competitor here. So you can see the pace car just start to pull away. James Scott going to take control of this field. Be very interested to see where he decides to jump, especially with the length of the straight that we have for these guys to work their way up down.
He's really had a disadvantage with speed down the main straight, but we haven't seen him really any quicker either than Gilliam. So it might not be much of an advantage there. It might just be if he wants to get whatever line he wants off of turn 14 to get as much drive as possible. There we go. Looks like the pedal is down back. No, he's holding it right up. I thought he was going. It looked like it from our view, but they go past pit entry and he's still slow. When is he going to smash it? There it is. The firewall feels that pedal smash against it. I need to virtually hear that. That's what I need. The bang as it hits the metal. That's what I want to hear. And they go down into turn number 1, and James Scott looks like he's cut. Oh, here we go. A couple of dives in the background there. Dyson has to stop Jordan Ross from getting past. Ross was going to put a big move on there, and there's plenty going on in the back. This restart could be carnage. We could see the AJ Insurance's, what do we call it? The impact of the round coming up now, because they were 2 and 3 wide going into turn number 1. Scott still holds on to that lead. Dyson's held off Ross, who's just come in behind him now. I'm trying to see if we've had any movement further down the field here as we start to head down to turn number 5. Just after the Marine sweep there. A little bit defensive there for Scott. He's on the inside line, out wide there for Gilliam, but he has been a little bit wider on this corner consecutively through the race. It seems to be normal there. Sideways, a little bit loose there. I'm trying to see. That looks like that might be. I'm going to have a look further down and see if I can grab who that was. It was loose down the track. Tell you what, they're pushing now. They're looking for some positions. Oh, no, on the grass there. Gilliam gets 2 wheels almost on the grass. Definitely one. Shepherd could have really got under him there, but he manages to get back on track as Shepherd just holds into that 3rd position. Dyson behind him. Jordan Ross in 5. Check out the shots here. There they go. The 017 Borgie now goes a little bit wide on that corner. He could benefit out of this one too if he can stay with Jordan Ross. Maybe they can get into that top 4 if they can keep the pressure on, as Scott just seems to be going away. Big advantage there when we saw Gilliam a couple of corners back just put his wheels out on the grass. And that'll hold the rest of the field up there for Scott as well. He might put a bit of a push on here so he can't stay under that slipstream. If he can stay out of the aero, that might give him a little bit of advantage for fuel saving later in the race there for James Scott. Look at the pack though, it's tight here between 3 and about position 8. They are tight at the moment there.
Yeah, not a lot separating at all. Dyson's in with a really good shot there to have a run up through the hill. We'll see whether he's able to make something of that there. Scott just extending that gap marginally in his favour at the moment, which is kind of what we somewhat expected there. A little bit of smoke off in the distance. Whether that's a little bit of a lock-up or some damage on the cars. Everyone funnels their way back through, but this is a really close exchange now for these top 10 cars.
Ross was really quick on the restart, but it looks like Dyson now just opened up a little bit of gap on him. I was hoping to see Ross right up under that back spoiler, because that would have been an interesting person to throw in the mix there between Shepherd and Dyson. Definitely no teammates here as we go a Logitech Gialtis esports car for James Scott at the front, then a Pursuit Sim racing car in 2nd for Gilliam, a Premier Racing for Shepherd, simrigs.com for Dyson in 4, and then we go to Synergy Racing there for 5. So the top 5 are not teammates. There's going to be no love lost between them, I reckon, if they get a chance. If they see one little bit of clear road, if one car goes wide, they're going to stick that nose in to have a go. This is where the battle is though. It looks like 3rd position. Corey Shepherd, the Mr. Antenna car. He was 2nd last week. He took it all the way to 41 thousandths of a second behind James Scott over the finish line. He's currently in 3rd with Dyson, putting a fair bit of pressure on him in that Ford Mustang, the simrigs.com car. They've just dropped off the back of Gilliam again, and James Scott has opened up a nice half a second lead over Gilliam for that number 1 position. So he's pretty comfortable. It was the pit stop though. They come in under safety car for the pit stop. and Scott managed to get in front over Gilliam. So now he's in control of this race as we're on lap 33 with 13 to go. And they do need to watch their fuel. They did fill up in the pit stop, but they will need to make sure they can make it all the way home.
Yeah, and I respect the advantage of that safety car too. Everyone has absolutely maximised the fuel. Looks like we're seeing everyone get back to full steam. James Scott seeing some good sector times as he works his way back ahead, and the gap continuing to grow a little bit more. I'm surprised that Gilliam has dropped off. Obviously, we did see that little bit of an exchange with the wheels, but even our guys in third and fourth just not quite there. Dyson showing the nose, and we'll see whether he's able to do something here with it.
This is going up the front now, isn't it? It's first position and third position. And that's just in the top four. We've got two races going on, really, two really tight races. So it's exciting round number 2 here from Road America. As we stay on board with Dyson there, we head back in the pack now, and we go back to Christian Smart there in the Synergy Sim Racing. ZB Commodore just stuck in this little pack. It's a nice little pack of about 6 cars at the moment. So it goes Jordan Ross, Brian Borg, Tom Freer, Dylan Rudd, Michael Taliangic, Christian Smart, and Kyle Stokes. So that is 11 to 5. Pretty close together there. I think the back half of that really is where it's going on. The 888 car you can see there, Kyle Stokes is in 11th spot, and he is all over the back though of the car in front of Christian Smart at the moment. Doesn't look like he's going to have enough to get the run done here. It looks good under brakes though, and now off the back of that looks like Bailey Frid's also going to get involved in this one as well.
Yeah, Stokes with a big wiggle getting through the hurry downs there as well. He was able to pull that one back in line, and that's probably a good little sign there for Frid to have a look at whether he's able to work their way through. But some really solid teams in this battle, as you say, Premier Racing, Synergy, and Pursuit all amongst this fight to effectively get inside the top 10. So not much separating here. And let's have a look at how the guys are working down through Canada Corner here as Kyle Stokes, big under brakes, not quite able to close it up. You see that little bit of dust kicked up from his teammate. And another massive wiggle there for Stokes. So just using a little bit too much of that road on the exit.
Running the wheel quick though, didn't he? Good reaction times from him. We talk about reaction times. I mean, they've got to get the in before the race. Is it a nice coffee before the race to keep the energy up and keep the reactions going, or a coffee and 3 sugars? I don't know. We'll have to ask the drivers that in our interviews as we go on throughout the season. But Stokes is doing everything he can because they're all on fresh tyres too. So there isn't like we've got someone on tyre wear there in the background, as we can see that Rob Bowden in the background just putting a fair bit of front of his car in the side mirrors, letting him know he's there all over the back of Bailey Frid now. Frid gets defensive. Bowden now has to go round, holds onto the racing line, bit of an advantage here. The other thing I'm interested to see too, Dan, is obviously there's several lines going around that big long carousel. Is there a racing line that's going to probably be nicer on the throttle, be a bit more fuel conservative? Might be a little bit slower, but they might start to take?
No, not really. I mean, it's such a long corner. You're not really gaining a huge amount of advantage going a little wider, a little shallower. It's all about maintaining just the rolling run around the outside, save the tyres so that you can maximise them for the longer stint. As you say, we've got 11 laps still left in it, and you don't want to be chewing them up sooner than you need to.
Especially if there's enough fuel at the end. I mean, you can't say never. There is still the possibility of another safety car if we have a massive race incident. So can't say never. There could be some fuel at the end of this. It'd be interesting to see how much they did save under that safety car. We did about 3 or 4 laps on the safety car. So
absolutely. If they are able to save, I mean, they're in the box seat. I don't think anyone is saving at this point in time, though, looking at the way the laps the pace has unfolded. I mean, we're already back into the 205s for our leading cars. The guy a little further back, 206s. So everyone shuffling on as they were prior to that safety car intervention.
Isn't that pretty crazy? We're 1 second off the qualifying times. We were 204.88, I think Gilliam was, on a 204.92 or something for James Scott. So in such a short period of time, we're 1 lap off qualifying times, and they've got a few laps on these tyres now. They've got a full tank of fuel too, so they're heavy. And so we see a little bit of a wiggle there as they get around, and that is just in front of Knight. That's Bradley Vaughan there. That car's a little bit loose there. But Knight is still in this battle there, currently sitting in 16th position in the 24 car, and right behind him, it looks like Stovall now. Right up under that back, trying to get as much aero off him down the main straight. I don't know if he's going to have enough on this lap, but If he can tuck that car in, get one more lap down, maybe he can get a good run onto that straight next lap and put a fair bit of pressure on tonight. 58 cars started this race, and we still see plenty of them on track. And we really haven't seen too much carnage, really, from what I probably expected with 58 cars, which has been great. It just goes to show the level of driving experience out there in the AOSC Season 10. And everyone's willing to give each other a bit of room there for the racing line, especially in a 300-kilometre race. You got a little bit more time. If you lose a position, you got a little bit more time to make it up, and that extra pit stop compared to the 150k sprint races where time goes very quickly in those races.
Definitely, and I mean, this throws just that little extra strategy option in there for the guys. Where do they pit? Do they run the full tanks like we saw early on? Can they conserve a little bit of fuel here and there? Maybe extend the lap a little longer like we saw from James Scott on that opening stint. So it's really interesting to see how they go. I'm sure they're going to be looking forward ever so much to get back in for the 650k race next week. And we've seen some stellar races throughout that over the course of the past few seasons, and no reason to expect we're going to see anything different from that. War Boys here in the 23rd. The witness marks down the side of the car from that earlier contact. I believe it was Stephen Varga at the time who tried to get through on the inside there, and he's recovered quite nicely. That safety car came at a good time for him to get back up, and he's not that far now off the back of Greg Sharp for 22nd.
Sharp's wide too out on the grass. It's a good one for War Boys. He can probably close this up if he gets a nice run. Rob Harris can take advantage of this right behind him too. If he can stay on the back of War Boys, he can let him push through and just go through. Matty Mascord's made a position too since the restart, which is about 3 laps ago as well. But we're just watching Greg Sharp in front. He just exited off onto the grass. He did nice. He must have got off the accelerator quickly there because it wasn't loose. He just drove it straight off as we head back on to the main straight. A big run down here now. Who's going to try and get under brakes? Is Jacob Knight under a fair bit of pressure there from Stovall. Stovall holds the racing line. Knight comes down defensively. I don't think he's going to hold on to it. Stovall looked very fast around the outside. It's going to disadvantage Knight though as he goes in. Can he get the crisscross done? But no, Stovall stays on the outside.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity there for Stovall. He just hung it around the outside that fraction too long. I was really looking forward to seeing the crisscross there. He's made amends of it in that third corner. This could be a nice run for him down into 5, but he's going to have to be cautious on the outside here.
That's a left-handed too, so... Sorry, Norrie.
Don't want to take your eyes off that battle, but down at the front we've got James Scott now defending from Andrew Gillingham.
How good is that? Stovall gets the job done, but Jacob Knight's got that inside line there, so he will get that position back.
Yeah, that's a good run, 2x2, as these guys work their way up in towards the hurry down. Knight gives him a little hip and shoulder there, and he will now get ahead of that one, no doubt. Race control. Have a quick little look, but I don't think there's much in it where the way the attitude of the cars was. A big moment just at the back there of shot. I think that was Matty Mascord getting it all hung out sideways in through turn 7.
I love Matty Mascord. He's always loose in these races. I like a loose car. Get out there, and we our reporter from the grounds, Norrie, told us that there was a bit of a battle going on again, and Gilliam is now applying the pressure to Scott, and we've got him up on screen, and check it out. It is down to 3-10. It's a reverse role. This was James Scott sitting behind Gilliam before. Now Gilliam's behind him. And what I like is Corey Shepherd has not dropped off of this battle now. He is right there. Dyson's not too far behind him. So the awesome foursome is almost back together as we head down to the last 10 laps virtually of this race. We're on lap 37 of 46. We complete another one. So, well, it could come down to the wire again, guys. We could get that great photo finish in the top 4.
Definitely a little bit of deja vu here. We had exactly the same scenario last week with Scott trying to save that every bit of fuel that he could, and potentially we're going to see the exact same thing here as they work their way down into 1. Scott actually, Chris Shepherd there with a nice run through there actually gains a little bit of momentum on these two in front, so he brought that gap down to just under a second, and these three are going to be all over each other very, very soon here.
Yeah, last lap while you guys were watching that battle with Stovall, this here at turn 5 is roughly where James Scott, defending like he is now against Andrew Gillingham, taking that inside line, so Gillingham's got nowhere to put the car. James Scott driving very defensively. He wants this win.
Interesting, Gilliam's actually been quite wide on that corner all race. He likes to use as much of that outer strip as well in that turn number 5, I've noticed. So he'll be quite comfortable out there looking for the run. interesting James Scott's got to be that defensive, because looking at the last laps, Scott did a 205, a 206.58, a 206.65 for Gilliam, and a 206.47 for Shepherd. So Shepherd's actually the faster one of these three on the last lap.
Yeah, so Scott's still maybe just saving that little bit of fuel just to make sure that he has everything at his disposal for the final couple of laps here. And we're only 8 laps away from the conclusion of this second round already of the season, and another standout one for him. So Scott, you're going to have to come up with something pretty interesting here, and it's tough being in this lead spot, as we saw last week for him. And he's just driving the wheels off this Altus car, finding those marks, using every little bit of road and then some to gain those little bits of advantage.
At the kettle bottoms there, he is flirting with that grass. Like, he's got to be 2 inches over on that grass, I reckon, with the left-hand side of the car just going through the kettle bottoms. So cutting the corners as much as he possibly can to, like you say, maybe conserve that fuel and a little bit less tyre wear, as little as possible, as that might be the difference towards the end. Hopefully they've all got enough fuel, but it could really come down to car setup and tyres, how much they degradate them throughout the race, because it is hard on them here. There's a lot of tough right-hand corners.
And as you watch that battle, remember James Scott was off the jacks first, so if he's got less fuel in the car, that's where he's going to find it, by driving cautiously and backing into Andrew Gillingham.
Smart on here too, so we bring him up on the screen as the Michael Taliancic gets a little bit looser in the 777 just in front, which give Smart a bit of a run. So Taliancic's getting a little bit defensive, I think, there, just coming down, and in front of him is Dylan Rudd. So this battle's probably going to hold these two up a little bit at the moment. He goes a little bit and grabs a little bit more road on the outside there to turn the car in as they head around turn number, was that turn number 5 or turn number 6? I'm just having a look. It might have been turn number 6 there for them. Oh, sideways for Knight though here as he comes around. Stovall can't benefit from that. He thought he could. I think he's just backed off a little bit there, worried he was going to make contact, but he can't improve his position there. Knight gave him every excuse to.
Well, definitely, and that contact was very almost come to fruition there for Stovall. He did a hell of a job to pull it up in time, and then as a result of that, you see Knight with that massive power slide. So these two really going to continue this fight on, and there's nothing separating them at the moment. Looking at the way the cars are working, the attitude in them, Stovall, it's only a matter of time here before he will get this move completed. He's just got to pick that right opportunity, and I think we're going to see it down into 5 as he's been so strong there over these last few laps.
At this point in the race, he's having a good night. I don't think he wants to push it like you say. I think he backed off there, did not want to make contact at that point with Knight sideways in front of him. Probably a smart decision there, because sometimes you come off second best and you're not in the wrong, but you just, if you push it a bit too hard, sometimes they come down on you and make contact, and you actually end up worse off and needing more repairs than they do. So could be a smart decision for him not being that aggressive.
Absolutely. I mean, if we go back to that second phase of the race, we saw that move with Matty Masgood. Woolboys down the inside on Varga there. And he did nothing wrong. Pulled the car up beautifully, got it turned in, just opened the throttle, the steering a little too much, and it just pushed him across the nose of Varga there, and ultimately paid the price and got rotated around. So it's very easy to do, as we see a move here for Dyke Varga on Dyke down into 1. Should be able to get that car through, and just backs it off just a touch, and Rob Harris just in front of these two.
It looks like Jamie Dyke hasn't had a bad night either. 12 positions improvement on him. He's currently in position 25. Remembering 58 cars started out here tonight, so Jamie Dyke's moved up 12 positions, so he would have been out of 37 there in the Fishy Motorsports Ford Mustang. So he's having a good night too, moving up a few positions. All very important in qualifying, really, to stay out of trouble. And that's the problem. When you're in the middle of the pack, really, you're right in the mix of the fight. So important in qualifying to get up the top. But everyone's done a fantastic job. Rob Harris there, just a little bit loose coming out in the 13, but he'll be happy so far tonight. That car has stayed on all 4 wheels. But I've not seen a 2-wheel incident from him after making our impact of the round last week. After getting up on 2 wheels nice and early.
Well, he might even get the secondary one. He's kept it on 4 wheels for the night. So done an awesome job. And I mean, if you go and check out the stream that Rob does on Twitch, I think he still does it to YouTube as well. Get a really good bird's eye view of how he navigates his way around this circuit, and definitely good viewing there as well.
Holds on to Greg Sharp. He could get our photo finish this week. He could just be in all the limelight. Each week he gets a different prize if he can do it right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll have to keep inventing a new prize for him. He's that thing up. But
the Rob Harris Award. What is it for this week? I don't know. Let's find out.
Oh, that's it. I mean, it's good to see. I mean, he's driving the wheels off that car, and hats off to him for coming back from what he saw last week out there. This scrap down in 16th position, just easing up a bit more. Stovall not quite as close to Knight there, and just behind Neil Pearson starting to really get over the back here at Cameron Veacock. So work their way across the line for the 41st time, and this could be a nice run down into one. I don't think, though, that Pearson is quite close enough to get this move done yet.
Under half a dozen laps left in this race as we see him just take a little bit over that ripple strip as he gets dust. What's that in the background? Is that Mascot again off race line? I don't know if he was defending in the background or just getting loose, but he was on the inside line. Maybe he likes it because he doesn't look unsettled there, and he's still on the back of Troy Maguire. So that's interesting in the background as we check that out. But like you say, Knight there looks comfortable over Stovall at the moment. Stovall seems to be having a bit of a break there. Used up a fair bit of his tyres, I would say, trying to make that move happen a little bit earlier. As we check out Matty Mascord getting around the NSR Esports Ford Mustang at the moment. Look at him, he's a gorgeous man up on screen. Look at that beard all trimmed up. Tell you what, we've got a few guys with some good beards in the crew there. We could have a beard challenge at the end of the year.
All right, it's not a bad idea. I mean, show us the beard. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Some great music too for beards, for those who like that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And we've given him the camera curse, and now he is off track and lost about 3 positions. So we're not helping him out. Oh, look there, Sharp's involved again. I don't know. Oh, sorry, Rob Harris is involved again. Sharp's gone by. There we go. Photo finish if we finish now. Oh, I tell you what, this is it's good to talk about. I like getting to the boys, and we can have a bit of fun with this series. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for Mascot now, the beard's going to have to go for Mascot. I think it didn't serve him well in that instance. So clean face next event for him. As Dyke all over the back, still Rob Harris into Canada corner. Nothing between these guys. Varga still just sniffing around. He hasn't had the legs tonight to get that United Sim Sports car up much further on the grid tonight. Harris, though, with a huge wiggle through 13.
He dropped the wheel there, and the Mascot in front, he's loose. And did he get tyres in the last pit stop? Because or did he just use them too much at the start of the restart? And now they are just not there anymore, because we are in lap 42 or 46. Only 4 laps left to go in this one. James Scott still leading us over Andrew Gilliam, but what a battle we got going on here. Mascot was actually out in front, had a little bit of room over these guys, made a mistake. Greg Sharp came through. Then Mascot managed to slot him in front of Rob Harris there. So this is actually Greg Sharp in 22, Matty Mascot in 23, 24 is Rob Harris, Stephen Varga in 25, and Jamie Dyke on screen, another bearded man in 26. So I only talk about the beards, guys, because I'm jealous. I can't grow one. That's all it is.
Oh, well, we'll get you the wig just so you don't feel left out, and you can get that going in the mid-race shoot. Mascot again, clothing up on Sharp as one of the tank cars around. I think that might be Rob Bowden.
That's because he was actually up in front, and this is what we talk about. There's the possibility of another safety car. If he can't get out of there, if he's in a sticky wall, that's a safety car, possibly. We'll wait for race control on that, because that's an interesting part of the circuit. He's trying everything he can to get out of there too, isn't he? And it's just not happening. As we check out the replay now, we go back and he's on the inside here, and he looks for it over Pearson. Bit of a wiggle under brakes there. Pearson gives him a bit of race. No, nothing in it. Pearson's giving him racing room there.
All done on. And some fantastic fire rate physics just to pull that car back in.
He's still stuck though. We go back live, and this is a big moment in the race though. How much advantage, if the safety car comes out, how much advantage now does James Scott get? Because we were worried about him, maybe he took that undercut on fuel. We know he did a lap less in the previous stint, so but I mean, we're talking like hundredths of a second fuel load. We're not talking big times. But if a safety car comes out again, does that mean that he will get another advantage there, James Scott, towards the end of the race? We've only got 3 laps left to go. I mean, we don't want this to finish under caution.
No, but if you get the safety car right now, fuel strategy is out the window. Everyone gets home with not a drama to spare. The only issue is going to come down to a restart. At this point in time, we are still green. So status quo, the gap out front is maintaining as everyone continues to funnel their way through. But yeah, we'll have to wait.
Yeah, he is just off the racing on there. Is the exit to a corner. You wouldn't think anyone would be on the inside even under an overtaking manoeuvre. But he's had a great race so far. That is so unfortunate for him. And they are slowing down. So does this mean we've got a safety car out?
You do have a safety car leading this field.
Oh, there you go, Norrie. So fuel strategy's out, Norrie. It's all about tyres now.
It's all about who's got the most speed now. As they pass the stricken Bowden there.
Yeah, so hopefully race control will let him reset and we can get this underway. We don't want a green-white checker restart, really, do we? We don't want to start on the last lap. I mean, it'd be great. Sprint race to the end. The top four are back together, the awesome foursome. But Scott now, I think he's got to have a sigh of relief, really, at this point. Gilliam is fast, we know. He only beat him by, 400ths of a second in qualifying. I don't think that's going to be enough to get an overtaking move done unless Gilliam can do it on the restart. That is my prediction. Unless he does it on the restart, I don't think Gilliam's going to get Scott, with Scott's experience, through the rest of this race.
I don't think so either. I mean, we saw on that safety car restart before, Scott was able to get a really good jump, extend a little bit of a gap, maintain and hold, and then he just set the car up nicely, just found where he needed to be and place it just to get those, to defend that spot. So he's going to be in the best position here. Obviously, we'll expect a late restart, similar to probably what we saw the last time by. But for Gilliam, he is going to need to be all over the back of that Altus car like a rash and just jump when Scott jumps.
See, contrary to that, I would say that we're not going to see a long hold on this one. I reckon it's going to be a short, sharp one. If James Scott is inside Andrew Gillingham's head, it's going to be right as the moment James Scott gets the gold green, he's going to go.
I'm just jealous there. We brought Borgie up again. He's got a big beard. Look, James Scott's the only guy without one on our vision, really.
Rob Bowden didn't have one.
No, he didn't either. So there we go. All right, so run through the Jinx Shifters top 10. Of course, James Scott is currently leading behind the safety car with Andrew Gilliam in second, Corey Shepherd in third, Andrew Dyson in fourth, Jordan Ross is up a position into fifth, Brian Borg's up a position into sixth, Tom Frere's dropped back 2 positions since the start of this race to 7, then Dylan Rudd in 8, Michael Taliancic in 9, and Christian Smart has made 5 positions to make it into the Jinx Shifters top 10 with only a few laps. It looks like the safety car is going off. Norrie, is that right? I can see him.
Yep, safety car is away from the field and it's up to James Scott to call this one go. He's holding again.
Dyson has already covered because he knows that Jordan Ross nearly got him last time. Oh, look at Jordan Ross. He's putting the nose up. He can get alongside him at the start as Scott gets a nice start again. And Scott will lead us into turn number 1, a little bit defensive, just on the inside of the lines. He goes back onto the race line now. Dyson doesn't have to dive down too far. Jordan Ross pulls him behind, but it's going to be everything from about position 5 or 6 back now, as they were too wide. Just having a look if there's any carnage going on with the sprint race to the end. A couple of laps left. Zach Pearson in the background putting the brakes on hard there. I'm just having a look as they go through because it is all happening here from about position 10 backwards. Here's your leaders up the front, though. They were just up there. James Scott still leading over Gilliam. Gilliam now looks like he's gone on the outside there. This is as they come down to 5, though. And Scott has been defending heavily there at the moment. It's Frid now on the inside line. Behind him looks like Reece Keane, but is it Vaughan on the inside going to follow him in the number 100 now? Bradley Vaughan keeps the nose in and pushes Keane out wide there for Reece Keane. So another left-hander here, and that will give Vaughan the advantage there. Maybe he can make the stick king, going to look for the crisscross, but doesn't look like he's going to slot in position to make that happen. So now Vaughan needs to chase down Bradley Frid, who's just in front. So a bit of an advantage there as we head back to the start. It looks like James Scott has kept that defensive line, but he's done that probably the last dozen laps there at that same point over Gilliam as they head around the carousel now. And Dyson putting all the pressure on the Shepherd as well. That is very close between those two. 3/10 of a second in that one, but the top 2 have opened up just on 3/10 of a second. No fuel saving is where we're at. We just had a second safety car. We know they're going to be safe on fuel load for the last couple of laps of this race. If you just joined us, this one's going to be very interesting. Got a bit of a replay just about to happen here as Jordan Ross involved in a little bit of an incident there. Well, let's check this one out. He was on the back of Dyson as he comes out there, goes over the ribble strip, a little bit of netcode there to see a bit of a glitch there. Hard on the brakes, locks it up, goes wide, and that's why we've seen him drop back to position 10 at the moment. So he was right up there in contention in the top 5, and now he's dropped back 5 position to 10th. So Borgie will be happy. He's up into 5 now. So Ryan Borg, the Premier Racing team, will be happy to be in 5. As Corey Shepherd putting some pressure on as well. He's getting into the mix in this top 3 now. He saved it all for the last few laps. This has played well to his advantage as Michael Taliancic in 8th now. Goes up a position. He was back in 9 at the restart, so he's just him and Christian Smart have moved up a position because Smart was in 10 as they went past Jordan Ross. So that's where they've gone. Jordan Ross has dropped back and given them 1 position at the moment as the 017 goes by Borgie. They follow him in there. That's Michael Taliancic, Christian Smart, and Jordan Ross just at the back there. See if we can put a bit of pressure late on in this race, maybe grab another position or 2 back. We've got a lap and a half really left to go in this race. Uses all of the track as much as he can on that outer corner. Dan, we're coming down. It's going to be a photo finish is my prediction.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a cracking run. Our top 4 have really already extended a hefty little bit of a margin over Brian Borg. Obviously, we saw that gap kind of come about with that demise of Jordan Ross, who has picked it up again, and he is going for hell for leather here with his teammate in front. They are all over the back of Taliancic. Our top 4, throw a blanket over them. They have been the class of the field tonight and continuing to extend this gap with only a lap and a half to go here. But a little further down, Taliancic doing a cracking job just to hold on to this top 8. And if he can do that, he will be really impressed. It's been a very strong run from him and very traditional of what we've come to expect from Taliancic.
There's a couple of names out there we spoke about, obviously, this week in our pre-race show, and it's good to see him back in that top 10 and winner's circle, as you did expect. It's always a bumpy start to the season. You only had a little bit of a break. It's sideways there for Taliancic. It's a little bit loose on the exit. It's all right. He holds on to it. He's not going to give the advantage there to Christian Smart. Smart's got Ross all over the back of him, just in the background too. And Ross definitely the faster car. They've been up in the top 5 earlier and made a mistake, which put him back 5 positions. And that's why we see him in 10th position at the moment. Started out of 6. Up to 5 as we head into the final lap of round number 2 here at Road America. This is the final lap. We've had 2 safety cars. It's brought everyone back. The fuel load is fine. They're going to make it all the way home without having to conserve. James Scott did the undercut in the second pit stop for the first of our safety cars and managed to grab the lead over Gilliam, and he has held onto it. Can he hold onto it for another half a lap as they head around? It looks like they've just gone past turn number 3, past 4, and down to turn 5, where we have seen Scott defending very well here, staying right on the inside line. It's where he has been for a number of laps, and Gilliam goes really wide on this one as he goes around the outside. They don't make contact. They give each other room. Shepherd could really capitalise on this one. He's all over the back. Dyson in the background too. I tell you what, it could be any of these 4. We've still got about half a lap left.
Oh, what a cracking run. I nearly thought Shepherd was down the inside into 6th there as they worked that way up the rise. Gilliam is looking for every opportunity here to get through, closes it down under brakes into the start of the carousel here. He is on a charge to get back to the top step here, and what a hell of a run from Shoot tonight. They've really got up on top of it and pushing to get to the very end. Scott doing a masterclass here, just driving the wheels off that car, finding those apexes, pushing ever so much. And there's going to be a last chance opportunity down in towards Canada Corner as they work their way through the kink for the final time.
Yeah, the king. Scott will use a little bit of grass, does he? No, not this time. He's holding on to it. He's been very good in this second half of the track. Has to defend though over Gilliam. He's going to need a good run onto the main straight, because last week there was 41,000s in it. It's not going to be much different this week. Shepherd, though, is in 3rd. Anything could happen. Dyson right behind him. These are our top 4. Like you say, you can throw a blanket over them. And after 46 laps on the final quarter, the nose goes in there for Gilliam. Do they get it done? I think he's got it. They come together. Contact. Shepherd goes through. There's big contact there. Looks like Shepherd will take advantage as Scott and Gilliam go off. Dyson goes through too. Let's look as they go over the start-finish line, and it looks like Shepherd will take the win here with Andrew Dyson in 3rd. Brian Borg manages to get in the top 3 there. gets past the boys as they looks like they dropped right off there on my timing screen. I'm going to see where they actually ended up, because that is a big moment on the final corners, guys. We're got a big pre-race show coming up after this one.
Oh well, what a way to finish off that event. That was huge, and for Shepherd and Dyson, they just picked up the scraps and got up there in the end. And as you say, the big talking point, James Scott and Gilliam, for that contact, they fell well down the order, 5th and 7th respectively. Here's a look at the replay.
I can't wait to see this one from an angle that we can see. I tell you what, Scott just left a little bit wide there. He went wide. Gilliam put the nose and he had to. A little bit of contact there, maybe. Oh, my God. We're behind the tree. There you go. They both go off with a little bit of contact. Even then, they're still nudging liveries. And it's here where everyone takes advantage of the last minute. Borg goes past. I'm just seeing if they do get past. I'm looking up my screen. Freer gets past. Scott's get over. Dylan Rudd managed to get in front of Gilliam too there just at the end. So quite a few position changes. Taliancic can't take advantage and finishes 8th, stays in the 8th position. Here we go on board though with Gilliam in this final corner. Nose is in. There we go. Oh, a bit of contact there as they come round. Oh, it's Gilliam goes in front of Scott as we're on board with Scott. Oh, they readdress that back onto the track, and even a little bit of a nudge there as they come back on, and the splitter at the front there of Gilliam touches him, but it's the guys behind him that took full advantage. Look at him sideways over there. That was Dylan Rudd managed to go on the grass just to get in front of Gilliam. So I tell you what, we got a different winner this week, and it was the man who tried so hard in round number 1, didn't quite get it done. Corey Shepherd has crossed the line first. He's had a little bit of luck on that last corner. Nothing. He was not involved in that incident one bit. So that's going to come down to some race officials there. But at the moment, these are your results. We'll bring them up. That was our qualifying results there. Andrew Gilliam was leading us in qualifying over James Scott, so it was always going to get down to a big battle. But the race results for race number 2 for season 10 here of the AOSC Super Series, all thanks to Jinx Shifters. Corey Shepherd manages to get through with a miracle last corner there into 1. Andrew Dyson right behind him in 2, and Brian Borg makes the podium there in number 3. Then it's Tom Freer, James Scott ends up in 5. Dylan Rudd sneaks into 6 over Andrew Gilliam in 7. Michael Taliancic in 8th makes the top 10. Christian Smart was a big mover there. So Christian Smart ends up in 9. He moved up 6 positions through the race. Bailey Frid in 10. Bradley Vaughan 11. Jordan Ross back to 12 after a moment in the second last lap under brakes. Unfortunately lost a few positions. Reece Keane in 13. Jamie Stovall in 14. Jacob Knight does a nice job there to stay in 15. Neil Pearson behind him in 16. 17 is Cameron Veacock, and Greg Sharp in 18. So they moved back a few positions at the end as well. So plenty going on down the field. As we move into 19 was Matty Mascord. Rob Harris was in 20, and Stephen Varga 21. Blake Warboys in 22. Jamie Dyke 23. Luke Holland 24. Darren McKenzie 25. Jamie Davis 26. Troy Maguire in 27. Hayden Harrison 28. Matthew Brunt in 29, Jaden Borg in 30, Wade Sheedy 31, Tony Gaffer in 32, David Kimmond in 33, Glenn Morris in 34, 35 was Trent McCarthy, 36 was Tyson McAvoy. Then we go to Sean Thompson in 37, Marty Hanson in 38, Jamie Kingscott in 39, Sebastian Flock 40, Craig Healy 41, Mark Dybel 42, Lance Childs 43, McSpeeden in 44, Sibra in 45, 46 was Logan Barnett. As we keep going through, because we had a big field tonight, Aaron Gilbert in 47, Chris Barnes 48, Braden O'Loughlin, unfortunately for him to be in 49, Rob Bowden is in 50, but we have to talk about him. He was unlucky. He spun out with a few laps left, got stuck on a wall, and unfortunately that was the end of him. Kyle Stokes was another one, unfortunate to be out there in 51. Brenton Nitschke in 52. Simon Heathersheed in 53. Travis Lewis 54. Shane Newens in 55. And Daniel Heathersheed in 56. Scott Chambers and Craig Gurry run out our 57 and 58. So a big field tonight, guys, 300 Ks. And the top 4 had a blanket over them into the last corner, and an unfortunate incident there. 1 and 2 get pushed back to 5 and 7.
Yeah, and what a finish for the race there. That had everything. We expected it was going to be very tight at the conclusion of that one, and blew her out. That was a hell of a way to finish it out, and we've got our podium finish here now, and we might get Corey Shepherd in here for a chat with you, Matt.
Oh, we can grab him. Let's grab him in here. We've got a few of them coming in. And Corey Shepherd, you are now in the commentators chat, mate. We've got you live on air. What goes through your mind when you see the 1 and 2 come together on the final corner? What are you thinking?
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I just wanted to not be a part of that crash and just sneak past them.
Well, you held on, mate. At one point there, you backed off in between pit stops 1 and 2. Was that just a bit of a strategy there, or you just didn't have the race pace?
Yeah, I was trying to save fuel in the middle stint, but we ended up being brought back into an even playing field at the end with safety cars.
I tell you what, and Dyson wasn't going to give you any room at the back there. Could you see him in your mirrors most of the race?
Yeah, I sure could. He stuck with me right the way through.
It's good to see the Premier Racing team up on the top, and unofficially, I'm going to say that that will put you in the championship lead after round number 2 as well.
Awesome.
How's it look going into obviously the big 650k at Monza next week? That's going to be a dual driver there. You got your co-driver sorted?
Yeah, really excited for the Enduro.
No worries, mate. Anyone else you need to thank for tonight?
Yeah, my sponsor, Mr. Antenna, all the guys at Premier Racing Team, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
No worries. Well, thanks, Corey, and congratulations on the win in round 2.
Cheers, guys.
Well, we are going to bring in second on the podium at the moment. Andrew Dyson is joining us here in the commentary. And Dyson, it's mate. First off, nice beard. We got to talk about the beard. That's we'll get that up on screen. I hope you still got it. I hope you're exactly the same as that photo.
Well, it's hanging around. Don't worry about that. It's been on long enough. I can't give it up now.
Oh, you couldn't quite get Corey Shepherd there, mate. He's pretty quick.
Yeah, I had a dip, like getting really close to him into Canada corner there, but I kind of done myself a bit of a mischief and fell a bit far off him to have a go into the last corner. So coming into the last corner, I thought, oh yeah, I'm 4th here. Was kind of aside with the fact that's where I was finishing, but then the grandstand finish happened. So interesting stuff.
Did you see it come together, or were you just too busy focused on Shepherd?
I was having a bit of a moment myself. I was a bit crossed up, so it was kind of in my peripheral, I guess you could say. But I noticed there was guys kind of going side by side up ahead, James and Gilliam, and
it come down to a great finish. You guys pretty much had a blanket over the top 4 for a majority of the race, so pretty happy to be up there, I suppose. Even if you'd end up 4th, you got to be pretty happy with tonight's events.
Oh, I was pretty happy to finish 4th, especially after last week. It was a bit of a disaster for me, so I was happy to come back and be closer towards the front for sure.
All right, mate. And anyone you need to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. Simric.com, all the broadcast sponsors, Ben Max Mechanical on our car, BetSmart Racing Services, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, all the guys at DPR Racing. Thanks so much. And you guys doing the broadcast. It's fantastic. We're loving it. That's really good this year, this season. So, yeah, great work, guys.
Well, we can't wait to see what you're going to do at the Enduro next week at Monza. So, you like Monza?
Yeah. Last time we raced there, I had a bit of a mischief as well. So, I don't know. We'll see how we go. But, brings our team up and we'll do our best.
Well, the luck's on your side at the moment. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate. Catches, boys.
All righty. Here's the man. He stole a podium right at the end of the race. I reckon you didn't see this one coming, Borgie, but you've managed to get in 3rd position.
Got a podium.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like you got to pick them up when they fall off, and you know, I picked it up. Okay, I got that podium.
You had to be there though. Like it was an unfortunate. It was an unfortunate event, and at the end there for what was 1 and 2 for most of the race. But if you weren't there, mate, you wouldn't have got it. So congratulations.
And cheers. Yeah, look, I was actually happy with where I was. You know, P5 was still a good result, but you know, to come away with both cars on the podium, like you know, that's the 2nd week in a row. It just means so much to our whole team.
Yeah, you got a big one next week too, coming up with the 650k there from Monza. You got a teammate all lined up, a co-driver?
Yes, I'll be with Corey Shepherd as Ryan Wood is driving in real life racing. So he won't be around, but we'll be back later in the season. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Enduros are always fun.
You got to take a bit of confidence, don't you? You and Corey on the podium tonight and going in the Enduro, you got to be pretty happy with that and the race team, how it's come together so far.
Like I said before, man, I'm just stoked, you know, like the teams, we've been working really hard and it's been, the effort's paying off. You know, like there's so many other teams out there and they're so strong. So the field is tight and I haven't really looked at the incident at the end, but you got to have a go, and that's what it's about. Last lap, have a go.
I was talking about it throughout the commentary because I'm really professional like this, but are we going to have a beard competition this year? Because there's quite a few of you in the field that are growing some fantastic beards up on screen.
Yeah, I've got a beard going.
Yeah, well, you've got one up here on your profile pic, mate.
It's nothing, mate.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to have a laugh with you, mate. And yeah, congratulations on third tonight. Can't wait to see what you and Corey can put together for next week.
Yeah, easy. I'd just like to thank our sponsors, Racecraft, and everything that they do. If you're looking for a simulator, mate, look them up on their website, and mate, yeah, that's awesome. I'm so stoked, and thank you to you guys.
No worries, mate. We'll speak to you next week, hopefully, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do. But yeah, Dan, Norrie, we've got to do a bit of a roundup on this one because, mate, exciting things down to the end. So many names. Round 2 was just as exciting as round 1.
Well, it's really put us in a good stead for the remainder of the season, as you say. I mean, we saw a fantastic finish last time out at Brazil. This one, you couldn't have written it as the script to finish it. I mean, the two go off, final corner there at the very end, nothing separating them. And I mean, it all came about due to that final safety car. If we didn't have that issue for Rob Bowden, and to Rob, apologies to see the car go out in the way it did, we wouldn't have got such a grandstand finish. But yeah, absolutely looking forward to what we're going to potentially see there at Monza.
I'm having a look through here. We've got to have a photo finish somewhere. There's so many, so close together.
You took the words right out of my mouth there, Matt. It's got to be Dylan Rudd finishing on the grass for P6. Got Andrew Gillingham, and he was on the road. So that was a fantastic photo finish from my books. That restart, Bradley Reed was double file for mostly every corner to turn 6. So there'll be some good stuff in there. But no, I think in the pre-show we summarised it. I said, let's have a good one, and that was bloody great.
Yeah, it was a fantastic coverage again. Thanks to Nick in the background for going through all the shots for us and bring up the replays and things. Like we say, we can't thank all the races enough for putting on such a great show tonight. We hope that you can join us again next week as we go to Monza, guys, at 650k, and the co-drivers are going to play a big impact on this one.
Definitely. I mean, we've been Monza a few seasons there, and the racing always top notch. I mean, it's a really different circuit to what we've seen over the past few events. Very short, point and shoot type circuit. Braking into turn 1 is going to be ridiculous. I expect we're going to see quite a few incidents from the guys trying to slow those cars down there, and similar to probably what we spoke of in the pre-race show for this week. Turn 1 there going to be absolutely key to getting the most out of that. And if we have the field the size of what we've had this event, yeah, we're going to see the safety cars are going to get a very hefty workout.
Well, it's been a big night, gents, and we'll go back through them as Corey Shepherd gets the win after a last corner incident from what's been 1 and 2 for 46 laps. The final corner, James Scott and Andrew Gilliam come together. So Corey Shepherd ends up in 1, Andrew Dyson second, and Brian Borg rounds out our top 3 for round 2 here at Road America. It is race 176 in the AOSC history. It's season 10, all thanks to Jinx Shifters. Big shout out also to Race Circuit Art Australia. 6th Gear Imagery will be giving us all our images for our pre-race show. Sydney Computers, don't forget, you can still get into the series if you buy certain products there at Sydney Computers. Get free entry. AJ Insurance Services, mention you're a member if you are of the AOSC, get 10% off for all your insurance broking. Simrigs.com also, you can get free entry on certain products. And we need to thank Track Cams for Gourmets for providing us with some additional camera angles there to bring you this great coverage. I want to thank Daniel Leet and Matthew Norris, mate. It's been great working with you tonight. We've got a big pre-race show to talk about. There is so much to unfold from this race during the week. We've got a lot to talk about. We're coming up with our first major endurance race there with the co-drivers. It's going to be a big one coming from Monza on the 29th of January. Can't wait for that one, guys. It sounds like you guys can't wait either. So we're going to wrap things up here tonight. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Of course, Jinx Shifters AOSC Season 10 is well and truly underway. Round 3 next week, Friday night, the 29th. We'll get them all back. The co-drivers get in. We can't wait. Pre-race show coming your way midweek, Wednesday or Thursday night. And, yeah, please join in. Please support our sponsors. Thanks, everyone.